funk. Thoughts deep, boys steeped in the depths that he sunk. Big stress, depressed in the middle of fall. Sky gray, high late in the thick of it all. I wonder, how long can a human survive just staying alive or carrying the rest of the tribe? Waiting for the day to arrive or struggling dies, and I be doing way more than getting by. So why? Cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Realize life is so much more than just living a day. Every day I can sit and reflect and reconnect to myself and all that I've been given. See, giving up is not an option. So while I'm looking at gray skies, I'll be adopting a new way to deal with a test. Lord, relieve me of stress and bring me looking like when blessings drop in. And so I cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, here we go. Yeah. Let's do this. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. In times of test, let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. Test. Let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. Woo.
Warning, the following image and/or content may be disturbing, offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Salute, welcome to the lounge, y'all. Welcome, y'all. Welcome, salute. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all tuning in to the show. Appreciate y'all a whole lot. Northern, appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. Those of y'all who didn't catch the show last night, I did, well, actually earlier this morning that I did. By all means, you could catch the replay of that after you get through watching this show, all right? Because I know I talked a lot about issues dealing with the modern woman. So go ahead and catch the replay of that. You know, y'all, my original intentions of the show last night is that I kind of did wanted to have a call in after that, but after when I got through, explaining what I was explaining about it, I keep forgetting that I'm not used to doing late night shows yet. So I had to call it a night for real. I had to most definitely call it a night for real, y'all, where I just was like, I was tired. I was so tired and so drained. See, the thing about it is that I want to do more of these late night shows because I want to cater to both audience because I have some audience which is right now where people they're at work and they can tune in and watch me while they're at work. I have other audience that like the prime time when I go on prime time around by I think 8:30ish my time, right? And then I have the late night owls who enjoy me doing the late shows as well too. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I do these late shows, it's like me going out and working out, right? Working the part of my body that I haven't worked out in a long time. So it's for me to just get used to it. All right. So my sincere apologies, but I really did wanted to do a calling in where y'all come up and y'all tell me about your perspective about the topic that I was talking about. All right. So we're gonna push through that. We're gonna push through doing these all these different shows and stuff. All right. So appreciate y'all on that regards. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Today's show, we're gonna talk about religion and spirituality again. All right, I know that a lot of my subscribers they love it when I be having these conversations because when I do have this conversation, it be very thought provoking. It be very engaging, and also it just gives a different perspective versus what people of religious faith normally will receive all the time. You know what I'm saying? Today's show is no different at all, period. And we're gonna dive into it. And now on this show, I'm not gonna be showing y'all clips or anything like that. This is gonna be me, Urban, being raw, unfiltered, and tell you exactly how the way I see it. All right. So without further ado, make sure you hit that thumbs up because it helps the stream out a whole lot. And let's go ahead and get into this content. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Y'all seen the title, right? Y'all seen the title where it says that I'm beefing with God. Y'all see it, right? Now that title is not a trolling title, all right? Once again, it is not a trolling title. It is something that I am dead serious about for real. I am so serious about this for real. God damn! I am. I really am. Lionel, salute. Welcome, bro. Welcome. But yeah, I am dead serious about this title. I've been beefing with God for a very long time, to be quite honest with y'all. I really have. I've been beefing with God for a really long time. When I became like really conscious of in the world that I've been beefing with God, it literally started when I was in my mid-20s. To be honest with you, that's where it started at. It started when I was in my mid-20s. To be honest with you, but when I think about it, right? When I think about it, I honestly believe that I've been beefing with God longer than that. I honestly believe that I've been beefing with God ever since I was little. Ever since I was little. God damn! So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about why I'm currently beefing with God and why this beef haven't been resolved at all. And I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all and tell you the truth. Now, however way you take it, that is totally on you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna be real about it. UP Unspoken, welcome to the lounge. Welcome to the lounge. So let's talk about it, y'all. Why am I beefing with God? The reason why I'm beefing with God is simply because God want me to do things that I don't want to do.
What?
That's where it boils down to. I feel like that God has written a story about me, right? Where I don't have no other choice in the matter that I have to participate in the said story that he wrote about me and about my life. I can't alter the story. I can't deviate from it. I can't make the choice to do something different in the story. I can't do none of that. I have to follow God's script of the story. Now, keep in mind that God made me a sentient being. One, I'm consciously aware of everything. I'm aware of my existence. I'm aware of that, I'm a male. I'm aware of, about social norms. I'm aware of a lot of things, right? And most of all, I am aware of that I have my own way of thinking. So by me having all these things that God has given me, right? And not to mention the spiritual abilities and gifts, whoever you want to call it, right? By me having all these things, right? I want to live my life the way that I want to live my life. I don't want to live my life according to the story, according to how the way God want me to live my life. Because according to God's story is this. Once upon a time, there was a young black man who grew up in a multi-religious family. His father was a Baptist minister. His mother was a evangelist. His aunts and uncles and all part of the bloodline was part of some type of religious sect. His father and mother decided that it would be best for them to teach him and his siblings the way of the religion. Through this, it created conflict between the father and the mother because keep in mind, the father and the mother believed in two totally different religious systems. So they was constantly in conflict with each other about this said religious system. Why the son and his siblings participated in this. This boy had to grow up into this belief system where he literally had to go to church damn near 7 days a week. hmm
God damn!
Had to participate in Sunday school.
God damn!
Couldn't go out at a certain time.
God damn!
Couldn't watch certain TV shows as well too. Like my counterparts and stuff, right? My friends and other loved ones and stuff, right? They got to watch Ninja Turtle. They got to watch Saturday morning cartoons. But guess what? Not I.
God damn!
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Not I at all. Because we was told that looking at these cartoons, listening to certain type of music, participating in certain type of religious holidays and stuff, it was considered as pagan. And so we couldn't want to participate in none of these things. We couldn't relate to our friends and other loved ones. We couldn't do that. Now keep in mind, this is the story that God has written for this young man, which is me. A story that I chose not to be a part of, but I am a part of the story. So I had to live my life doing all these different things. I remember it was on one of these feast days that came up, right? It was a feast day, feast of the unleavened bread, to be exact. I remember that me and my siblings had to literally go to church, right? And do what is known as a shut-in. Now, y'all modern day people, y'all may not know what a shut-in is, but let me tell you what it is. A shut-in is this. A shut-in is when you go to the church that you're a part of, right? Go into that church, they close the doors and they lock it, and you have to literally camp out in this church for a certain period of time. Sometimes the shut-in will last 3 days. Sometimes it'll be a whole entire week. Now, within this shut-in, guess what else is happening? You are only required to fast and pray, meaning that you can't have no food, you can't have no soda, no drinks, anything like that. Back in this day, we didn't have mobile devices or anything like that. So we had to participate in this shut-in for this certain amount of time. And the only thing we was allowed to eat was anything considered as unleavened, like crackers or anything like that with no salt in it. Okay. So imagine this, you're a child and you have to participate in this thing. Well, the only thing you were eating was literally unsalted crackers, and they give you water. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. While we was there, I was there with not only my siblings, but I had other family members as well too who was there. We couldn't talk, we couldn't play, and keep in mind we're children. Part of children nature is to be curious and to be active and always constantly learning and be engaging. Imagine all that being taken away from you because of your parents' religious belief system. That's what I was dealing with. So we couldn't do none of these things. Then right after we get out of that, my father, who's a Baptist minister, a preacher, right, we end up having to go to church with him on Sunday. So this was a nonstop thing growing up, nonstop. But even then, I was questioning. I was questioning my mom. I was questioning my father. I was questioning my grandmother, my aunts and uncles. I asked them questions like, why? Why do we have to do this? This is not fair. The only logical answer that could give me is because God said so. And if you don't do it, then guess what? God is going to get you. They use this line on us every single time when we have pushback on this. They said obedience is better than sacrifice. That's what they said over and over again. Whenever we challenge it, obedience is better than sacrifice. Would you prefer for you to be obedient to God, or do you prefer for God to punish not only you but us as well too? That was their logical reasoning behind this. So we had to participate in this activity. And imagine doing this as you growing up. So already in the back of my mind, I'm questioning this. I'm questioning like, why are we doing this? Why we can't do this? Why we can't enjoy the things where everybody else is enjoying in life? It had got so bad where my parents was even being selective about the type of friends that I could want to bring into our household. And the reason why is because they felt like if these friends wasn't connected to the said religious belief system that they believe in, right? If they wasn't connected in any type of way, guess what? They consider them as the devil. They consider them as being a Satan worshiper, them and their family being Satan worshipers. They consider them that they could walk into the household and corrupt not only me but the whole entire household because they believe that demons attach to people. So they was even being selective about the certain type of friends that I was able to have during that time. So throughout this process, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I became bitter. Literally started becoming upset with God because I knew that God was the culprit behind all of this. And I started asking myself, like, God, why? Why? Why do I have to do this? Why I'm even born into this? This is insane. Why am I born into this? Why I don't have a choice in the matter? Why do it seem like that I don't have free will like they say we do? Why? Do y'all know that there are people out here right now who feel the same exact way how I feel about God, where it seems like you don't have a choice in the matter, that you got to do this, that it seems like that God literally writing your story. It's not you who's writing your story. It's not you who are choosing where you need to be at, but it's someone else. It's of a higher power writing your story, writing everything down that you're going to do. And you don't have a choice in the matter. You just got to participate in it. There are many people who feel this way. To be quite honest with y'all, let's keep it real. There are a lot of people who are honestly beefing with God right now. I don't care how religious you are. I don't care how spiritual you think you are. I don't care how connected with God you think you are. If you really think about it, if you really think about it logically, right, you're beefing with God for real. But you chose, now listen to what I say. You chose to submit yourself to God so you can get the things that you want. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. You chose to do the things, or as they say, you chose to do the will of God so you could get certain things in your life, or you could get things added on the story that's been written about your life. Let's be honest with it. Let's be honest with it. Because other than that, I guarantee that each and every last one of y'all will not be doing a lot of stuff that you're doing. For us going to church, for us sitting up here literally going to a church house, knowing good and darn well the church house is corrupted as hell, but you want to go there, right? Knowing good and well the people who you're around, right, are corrupt as well too, but you still choose to go there, knowing good and well that this alleged preacher or pastor or overseer is pimping you for your own finances, but yet it's still you still choose to go there. But you're doing it because you want God to write a certain part of your story where you can feel like that you're being blessed, or you feel like that uh at least you could have some portion of your life where you can have control over that. Let's keep it real. The truth behind it is that you do these things, or we do these things, is because we want something. You fast, you pray, you commit yourself, and you do all these ritualistic things in the church house simply because you want something in return. Let's keep it real. Let's be honest with it. The reason why I know is because during that time I was doing the same as that thing. I had came at one point in the time in my life, I had came to the conclusion that hey, um, it's better for me to not beef with God and just participate. It's better for me to just go ahead and submit to God's will. And I know I'm talking to y'all. It's better for me to just go ahead and submit to God's will. That way I could get things accomplished in my life. So at a point in time, I did that. I went on and allegedly submit to on God's will to start doing things according to the story that He written for my life that I have no control over whatsoever. So certain things start transpiring where different decisions start being made and stuff, right? I end up getting into a relationship, getting married and all this stuff there, you know what I'm saying? And then it appeared that things was okay because it's a part of the story. It's a part of the plot. But lo and behold, when I started literally studying religion for what it is, right? And start studying the Bible. Now, keep in mind, I want y'all to keep in mind that all of this is part of the story. It's part of the script that I was ultimately was going to do that. While I was ultimately going to go into religion or seminary school, whatever, and start learning the truth about all this stuff. I learned about it and I start questioning it. again. Now, I already through me, you could say through me in a spiritual sense, right? I already knew that things wasn't right. I already knew that it was some bull crap behind that and stuff, right? I already knew that. I already knew that it was some bull crap behind it, but I just could have articulated. I could have explained it back then when I was younger. But when I became older, right? When I became older and I started entering into, these seminary schools and they started teaching the truth about all this stuff, right? That's when that aha moment came. That's when that aha moment came. I like, you know what? I always felt this way. And now they're literally telling the truth about it. So once again, it put me into this space where I started questioning it. And furthermore, it put me into the space where, hey, I don't want to do this. I don't. I honestly do not want to do this. Now, keep in mind, I told y'all also in one of my lives, right? I told y'all in one of my lives that I am part of the chosen. Okay. This is something that I didn't sign up for. This is something that I didn't wait in line for. This is something that was part of the story and I had to do it. There are many people out there right now, who are part of the chosen, and they didn't choose to be part of this alleged group or whatever. They didn't choose to do that. That was written into the story to be this way. And so, by them being this way, their lifestyle is totally different. Their lifestyle are similar to what I told y'all in the beginning with me. Well, you don't have no other choice in the matter. You don't have no other choice in the story. You got to do these certain things, period. Nothing more, nothing less. And then if you don't do these things, then guess what? Certain things will transpire or happening in your life until you decide that you want to do it. But once when I found out about all this and I found out about the truth of it, and I started, as y'all say, awakening from this and stuff, right? That's when I started questioning everything. I'm like, look, this is like me being part of the matrix and waking up for the first time. Now, me when I was younger, I had a subconscious ideal that something was off. But when I became an adult and I, as the Bible say, put away childish things, right? When I became an adult and I awakened into the truth about it, that's when I wanted to be unplugged from it. But unfortunately, you're dealing with a mechanism or you're dealing with an entity that you can't unplug from, no matter how hard you try. You can't unplug from it at all, period. As long as God wants your life to be how the way it is, then it's going to be how the way it is. I know a lot of y'all can relate to what I'm saying. Some of y'all may be part of the chosen, some of y'all may not be part of the chosen, but y'all have dealt with the short end of the stick of life, where you question God, you question why in the hell did I go through the stuff that I went to? Was it meant for me to go through this? And then you get the same tired answer from everybody, especially people who are part of a religious faith. They say the same as that thing. God's suffering is for you. God's suffering is for you. God's suffering is sufficient for you. Because when you go through God's suffering, there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel that's going to be so marvelous and so great, where you be able to enter into the kingdom of God or a kingdom of heaven at the end of it all. What type of deal is that though? One person will go through the suffering of God throughout their whole entire life, questioning God. They done been through things through life. They done been through mental abuse. They done been through spiritual abuse. They done been through physical abuse, right? And they are constantly praying to God, like, God, right, God, save me, God, deliver me. And God didn't do nothing to intervene into none of that. But rather, God is just writing the story up. It's part of your story, so you got to deal with it. Then on top of that, be gaslighted. Be gaslighted, saying that, hey, if you didn't do these certain things, if you didn't follow my law, statutes, and judgments, if you didn't follow my commandments, then this is going to be the end result. This is the reason why these things are happening to you. How fair is that? How how unrealistic is that? On this show, I talk about modern day women and men and the like all the time on here. One of the main things that the my subscribers talk about, they always talk about how toxic men are, which is a very valid argument, by the way. It is very valid. But they talk about how toxic and abusive men are. And I agree with them on that. But the reason why I'm making this point or reference is because to me, it seems the same as that thing when you're dealing with your alleged relationship with God, where you literally sitting up here dealing with toxic abuse, where you literally sit up here dealing with narcissism and all kind of stuff. And then when you question it, you become gaslighted about it. That this is the will of God. You have to follow the will of God. And then if you don't follow the will of God, guess what? You be punished the same exact way how women deal with these toxic men in relationship where these dudes are abusive, domestic violence and all kind of stuff. Where these dudes who are abusive to these women and they gaslight them, they dismiss how the way they feel and convince them that the things that you're going through, right, the things that you go through is for the greater good. Isn't it similar to the things that we deal with God? This is my issues with God. This is the reason why still to this day, even though I believe in God and I believe in the things that I do, I believe that I'm part of the chosen, but still to this day, I still literally do be beefing with God because these things is what I question every single day. I question why did I go through the stuff that I went through? Why I'm still currently going through the stuff that I go through? Why I can't live the life that I want to live? There are some things that I try my best, my hardest to try to live. And it just seem like it just don't happen no matter how hard I try. Like case in point, I wanted to be a man who's a six-figure earner. I do. I want to be a man who's a six-figure earner. I'm currently not there. I'm doing well, but I'm not there where I want to be at. But I'm sitting up here fighting to be that way. But guess what? Guess what I say? I'm fighting to be that way. The reason why I'm fighting to be that way is because I'm learning that in reality, this isn't part of my script that God wrote for me. It's not part of my script. No matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I put myself into areas where I could achieve this goal, it always be something that shut me down every single time. And it be things that be literally out of my control. It don't be choices, decisions that I make. It be things that be literally out of my control that I can't do nothing about. But yet, it's still there's a story for other people out there where God written them into their story, and they're earning six figures or more, and they're living a certain type of lifestyle. And then when I question that and say, "Hey, I want to live this lifestyle too," guess what the pushback is? Money is the root of all evil. You shouldn't be that way because money is the root of all evil. You have to be this certain way. But yet and still, there are other people that he wrote the story for that he granted them to be the certain way. And the only pushback on that is that, oh, they're going to receive their reward in the end in heaven. And then I question that. I'm like, okay, so you mean to tell me that you allow other people to live this certain lifestyle, right? all the way into the very end. And then afterwards, they get judged and be determined if they're going to go to heaven or not. What type of deal is that? Where this person lived this whole entire life. They got to experience whatever it was in their lifetime because they had the financial and social status to do it. And they lived it. Then once when it's all said and done, he gonna determine, well, if at the end of the story, they're gonna go to heaven or not. What kind of deal is that? But there are other people like myself, right? Who want to be in their life, who will actually be not only successful in their life, but be righteous while doing it as well too. Don't be corrupt or anything like that. Be strictly righteous in there. But say no. You have to live this story that I want you to live. And then when you die, I will determine whether or not you're going to be part of the kingdom of God. The reason why I'm questioning this is because these people get to live their whole entire life a certain type of way. Their whole entire life. When we are born onto this world is all that we know. The reason why, because this world is tangible. We could actually see the things that's happening in the world. We could see people. We could see the plants in the trees. We could see the stars in the moon and everything. We could see every tangible thing on here. We could also see social norms and all these other different things as well too, right? We could see this. And so we exist into this realm of life for this long period of time. Some of us existed to this life for hundreds up to about 100 years, right? Others probably live to, you're 9 or 10 years old, and that's it, you're done. But the whole point of the matter is that this is all that we know. And let's be real, let's keep it real, let's keep it above, let's be real. None of us have not physically seen God. None of us haven't physically seen this heaven that we're supposed to go to, right? Nor none of us have not seen this hell that we're supposed to go to as well, too, if we don't follow his law, statutes, and judgment. None of us. Let's be honest. None of us haven't seen angels or demons. Let's keep it real. We haven't seen none of that stuff. But however, we have seen manifestations of different behaviors of it. Yes. We see manifestation of people behavior where they be acting evil and demonic and stuff, right? We be seeing manifestations of behavior where people be acting nice and righteous and different things like that as well too. But we never physically seen an angel, a demon, a god, or a devil, or anything like that. And so in this life, this is all that we know. So you mean to tell me that we live this whole entire life that we know, right? That we grew up to know through this whole entire time, and we experienced this life. Then finally, when it's all said and done, we're going to enter into a place that we have not seen, that we have not touched, that we have not taste, smell, or anything like that. And we're doing that according towards faith?
That's bullshit.
According towards faith only? To me, that's not a good righteous deal. To me, it's unfair that not only myself, but the things that people have dealt with or they currently dealing with right now in their life. It's unfair for the things that people have dealt with where this story has literally been written down for them. It's unfair. It's unfair. Then you can't question about it. It done gotten so bad, right? Where the same people who are like side characters of your story, right? The same type of people who are side characters of your story will literally come into your life and in separate talk you down about how the way you feel, or literally dismiss how the way you feel too, because they said that God told them. They'll say things like this: God had led me into your life to tell you this. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? These people will either come out the blue, or it be people even on social media. You express how the way you feeling about God, then these people say, God led me to tell you this. God led me to tell you XYZ. Now first, I didn't believe in God telling people to do other to tell you certain instructions about your life. I believe that if God has something to say about your life, then he'll directly tell you, right? But the more I become consciously aware of this, the more I'm believing that God literally write people into your story as a side character to come into your story and tell you about these things so you could be manipulated to stay part of the storyline. I honestly believe this is the whole role of why people claim to be prophet or prophetess, to be quite honest with you. They claim to be prophet or prophetess just so they could participate in a certain role of your story that God had written in. So they could come in there and tell you, like, well, since they're not going to believe me, let me go ahead and manipulate this other person into the story and tell them this thing so we could say that it's a confirmation from God. Am I lying? And then these people come into your life. You may either go into a church, you may be at a grocery store, wherever the case might be. Hell, I didn't even seen it on YouTube where people would literally come in. Well, God is speaking to me. The anointing is strong in me today. The anointing, I just feel the anointing strong in me today. I feel the anointing strong in me today. And God is giving me this message to you. All to sit up here and manipulate and gaslight to put you back under that, as you say, obedient status with God. This is the reason why I've been beefing with God. Now, now don't get me wrong. By me saying beefing with God, that doesn't mean that I don't respect God or respect it for what it is or anything like that. That doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that I hate God or anything like that. I just don't like the story that he's writing for, not only for my life, but for your life as well, too. Because I know y'all are related to what I'm talking about. When you think about it, when you put away, you know what I'm saying, your mindset, your religious mindset, when you put away all that stuff, right, and just think about it logically, right, or think about it with common sense, you will come to the same conclusion where I'm at. Like, yeah, Urban is right about this. My whole entire life seemed like I don't have no control over it. It seems like it's a story that I'm not writing, but want to give the illusion that you are. Want to give the illusion of free will that you're truly writing the story, but in reality, you're not. So to be honest with y'all, not only I'm questioning free will, and I'm also questioning predestiny as well too. Because according to religious belief, it's they said that we're predestined for a purpose. You know what I'm saying? If we're predestined for a purpose, that let me know right off the bat that this is a story that we're not writing. You're already a part of the story, and it's going to happen no matter what. No matter what choices that you're making. Even right now, me being on YouTube and telling y'all about this already been predestined. It already been chosen for me to do this. God already wrote the script and everything, and I'm just following the script for a reason. Now, some of y'all sit up here and argue and say that this ain't the will of God. Is it now? If God literally is writing my story, writing how the way I'm supposed to be, writing how the way I'm supposed to articulate myself, writing me literally doing this, isn't this not the will of God? Because if it wasn't the will of God, then guess what would happen? I would have never come on here. I'll never come on YouTube and telling y'all about this. I'll be doing something totally different. So even this right here is allegedly part of the will of God for me to be doing this. It's the will of God for us to suffer the way we suffer, no matter how horrendous it is, no matter how bad it is, no matter how bad we see it is. It's the will of God. People live, people die, people get murdered, people get killed, people get raped and molested and all these different other things as well too. And that's all part of the will of God. And then when we question it, then guess what? It's something wrong. There's literally something wrong with you. There's something wrong with me. Now, I say all the time, when I'm on here, I'll be doing the Lord's work. And I'm not lying about that, y'all. When I say I'm doing the Lord's work, I'm not lying about that at all, period. I'm not lying about that. Because when you think about it, I'm doing the Lord's work because it's the will of God. It's the will of God for me to come on here and talk about the stuff I talk about. It's the will of God for some of y'all to push back on the stuff that I talk about. It's the will of God for y'all to agree with the stuff I talk about. It's the will of God for only a selected audience to tune into the stream. It's the will of God for people to not tune into the stream because it's all written in his story. Not our story is. So this is the reason why I say that even to this day, even to the very end of me living on this rock, on this, to be honest with y'all, I'm just gonna call it for what it is. Living on this hellish rock, on this hellish prison that we have to live on every single day that give us the illusion that we're free, but in reality we're not. Just like literally prisoners who at a prison, right, where they're enclosed into this rocket circle, right, and they give them the illusion that you're free, but in reality you're not. They'll give the illusion that they're free by allowing them to participate in a certain type of activities that's controlled, by the way, where they could go out, they could eat, they could go outside of, you know what I'm saying, they sell blocks, whatever, right? They could go and lift weights and they could have a community, right? Or community circle. Then guess what? When it's time for them to go back in that cell block, guess what? It's time for them to go back in and they have to follow the command. In reality, we all living on this rock the same exact way. Same exact way. We get the illusion that we're free, but we're not. We're not free. We're not. We have to play by the rules. The rule of the Creator. The rules of the Most High God. If you don't follow the rules, then guess what? The Creator God gonna make your life as hellish as possible, or even worse. So according to a lot of the stories and narratives in the Bible, right, or in the Torah, or the one Quran, or any other type of religious book, right, if you don't live the will of God in your life, guess what? He's going to curse not only you, but he's going to curse your generations. Then on top of that, he's going to curse other generations as well too. Isn't that a fair deal? Imagine generations out generations didn't have nothing to do with your choices or decisions that you made, right? Allegedly. They didn't have nothing to do with that whatsoever, but they're dealing with that. All because God had made the conscious choice to write it into the story. Since he didn't follow me, right, I'm going to make life hard, not only for him, but or for her, but I'm going to make life hard for their generations as well too. What type of sick, twisted deal is that? Now, keep in mind that your choices and decisions that you made, right, it was already written into the story anyway. And I want y'all to think about that. Even according to all the stories in the Bible, the choices and decisions that these characters in the Bible made, right? It was already written that they was going to do it anyway. So regardless of the fact, it was going to happen. They didn't have no control over it. I heard this as well too. I heard that us black people, right? And this goes to the Hebrew Israelites narrative, right? I heard that they talk about this all the time. They talk about Deuteronomy 28, right? Where they reference saying that, hey, we are the chosen people of God living here on this country. We was being sold, and the reason why we were sold is because we wasn't doing the will of God. And so until we come together, until not only we come together, until we acknowledge and confess to God, the Most High God, that He is our sovereign and righteous God, that we're living in this curse. And so they believe that in order for them to get back into the relationship with God, that they have to go out to the streets, they have to dress up like damn Power Rangers and stuff, right? And preach the word of God and telling people about who they really are, preferably black people about who the way they are. That's what they believe. They believe that in order for you to get back into the true relationship with God, you have to follow God's law, statutes, and judgment, which is deal with the 10 Commandments. That's what they believe. And then so they believe in that so wholeheartedly that they go out and preach that to people and teach people that. But even then, when you think about it, right, since God is the writer, the author of the story, would it be logically thinking that all of this was part of the story in a way? That God literally placed black people in that situation to begin with in the first place? That God literally had us black Americans sold into slavery, our ancestors sold into slavery intentionally because it was part of the story, it was part of the plot, all part of what it is, right? Had our ancestor part of the transatlantic slave trade, and not only our ancestor, but other other cultures, other race was part of the transatlantic slave trade as well too. Arabs, Chinese, Hindu, and the like. I was part of that. So at any given time, God could have had rewrote that story where nobody could have been on part of no type of slavery whatsoever, period. But guess what? He didn't. Because it's all part of the story. All part of the storyline. And now we're sitting up here dealing with issues with war and different things like that. Because not because of the choices that we're making as people, because it's part of the story. Isn't that a fair deal? I don't think so. I don't. The things that normally black people dealt with during slavery, but we can even say the Jewish people during the Holocaust, the things that they deal with as well too, the things that Chinese, Japanese have dealt with, because they dealt with a form of a Holocaust as well too. We don't talk about it, but they dealt with a form of the Holocaust as well too, where they literally killing each other. The French, all of them dealt with the same similar story as well too. Isn't that fair? No. Is it part of the story? Yep, absolutely. Shout out to everybody who's in the building right now. Appreciate y'all tuning into the show. I've been looking at the comments. I literally been looking at the comments today, and I appreciate y'all. Vance was asking, "Am I going to drop the link today?" Yes, this is going to be a call-in show because I am dying to hear y'all perspective about this, y'all perspective about my assessment on all of this, and why I say that even right now, and I'm beefing with God even to this day. Now, keep in mind, I still respect God. I still love God for what it is and everything like that. I'm not an atheist or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I believe in that, and I believe in spirituality and everything. But at the same time, still to this day, I question things that God is doing. And I'm going to still question that all the way until my story is over. It is going to be is what it is. Because to be honest with y'all, I never received any type of answer to the why of this. Why God is doing this. Why God chose to make not only my life a living hell, but your life as well to a living hell. Why God decided to give us the illusion of free will, thinking that we're free, but we're really not. Why God doing this to us? Why do we deserve this? Why were we created for this alleged puppeteer act that's happening in our life? Why we can't choose where we want to live? Why we can't choose to live our life the way we want to live? I even put it to y'all this way too, and I'm figuring drop the link a little bit. I even put it to y'all this way too. Um, People question about, people with behavior issues. I do it as well too. People with behavior issues, such as people who are schizophrenic, people who are sociopaths, psychopaths, people who decide to be a part of the LGBTQ community. I put it to you this way. I'm going to boldly say that God even written the story for their life for them to become that way. Christian people, religious people say that people of the LGBTQ community was not born that way. That it's an anomaly that someone chose to be that way. That they made the conscious choice to be that way. I beg the different. I beg the different that God literally written into their story, their life, and made them become that way. He made them born that way. Also, he could go back and control the hell out of their life and get people like in the past, myself, in the past, judging them about their lifestyle, or other people who are similar to how the way I was, judge them about their lifestyle to say that God don't like homosexuality and all stuff. He even written books saying it. God don't like homosexuality and nothing like that, but yet it's still, he literally wrote the story of having people be part of the LGBTQ community, rewiring their mind because he the one who created their DNA, rewired their mindset to make them think that they think that a man is a woman and a woman is a man. Let's keep it real. And then when they go through the process of questioning that, right? People gaslight on, or he's literally bring people who are all prophets or prophetess, right? And say, God didn't do that. And lying to them and dismissing them. And they still feeling some type of way. Like, well, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like that I'm not a man? Why do I feel like that I'm not a woman? Why I was born with multiple genitals where these men and women have both a penis and a vagina at the same exact time. Why was I born this way? Why was I born as a man with this hyper sensitivity? Why I'm just hyper emotional? Why was I born having women estrogen in me? Why was I born having men testosterone in me, but I'm a woman? Why? Because in reality, it's part of the story. And this is the reason why I say that I'm beefing with God even to this day. That I'm questioning that even to this day. Now, once again, like I say, I respect God. I do. I really do. I really do. As all of us say, right? As all of us say, God knows our heart. God knows my heart. He do. Because he designed me to be this way. God literally designed me to be this way. He designed me to be the way that I am right now, where I'm analytical. I think outside the box. I see things on a higher scale than the normal average people. Even if I can't fully articulate it the way that I could do it or people could understand, God knows my heart. He knows my heart. He knows why I'm doing it because he written me to be this way. Same thing with y'all. God written you to be a certain type of way. It is the reality of it. It is who you are. Now the thing about it is that we have one or two choices. We can either want to accept the story for what it is, how the way it's written, or you can revoke to it. But even if you choose to either accept or revoke, it's all still part of the story. So now I'm questioning about what's the whole point in it. If you choose to just do nothing at all, period, to literally just isolate yourself, guess what? That's still part of the story. So it's almost as though it's damage you do, damage you don't. Crazy, ain't it? The link where the calling line is, it is dropped right now. You want to have a conversation with me now? How the way we're gonna do this is this. I'm not gonna do this panel style today because I don't have the energy to have a panel of this, but I'm gonna do this strictly call-in style, meaning that I'm gonna allow one person at her at a time, and y'all gonna come up here and y'all gonna tell me how you feel about this current topic. Whether you agree with it or you disagree with it, state to me the reason why you agree with it, state to me the reason why you disagree with it, and we'll go from there. And then also, I'm not going to allow people to be up here for no more than probably like, mm, I give y'all 10 minutes to explain your case. I give you about 10 minutes to explain your case. All right. So I'll give you about 10 minutes. You could call in. You can let me know how you feel about it. I'll give you 10 minutes to explain your case. Then we'll go to the next person. Then we'll go to the next person. All right. So just like I say, I'm not trying to do no panel style today because just like I say, I don't feel like having the energy on it. The reason why is because I don't feel like moderating this panel. All right. I really don't, because I don't feel like moderating it. I don't feel like trying to correct people if they talk and have certain talking points against each other. The next thing you know, they're going back and forth. I just don't have the energy for all that today. All right. So if you are bold enough, go ahead. The link is dropped. Go ahead and I'll allow you up here and we'll have a conversation and we'll just go from there. All right. See, Vaughn, she literally wanted to have a panel of people up here going so she could go back and forth. But I know the reason why. The reason why is because when people have panels, right, and they have people who have the like mindset, it is easier for them to articulate themselves because that person is going to want to co-sign what you're saying. Let's be real about it. But if you come up here by yourself, then you're not going to have nobody cheerleading you on. Especially on my lives. You're not going to have nobody cheerleader you on. You're going to be up here by yourself and you're going to have to articulate by yourself how the way you feel about this topic, whether you agree with it or whether you disagree with it. And to be honest with you, like I say, I honestly prefer that it to be that way versus having a panel full of people or we just all going back and forth saying certain things. Then another thing too is that by behavior, you'll feed on to the other person. If this person says something, you'll feed on to what they're saying and it'll help you better. Nope. Mm-mm. I ain't giving y'all that today. So, like I say, don't be afraid, don't be scared. Come on up here, have a conversation with Urban, and then, like I say, I give y'all about 10 minutes to articulate yourself and share with me how you feel about this conversation topic. Okay. All right. Oh, let me put it to y'all this way too. There are certain people who have privileges. All right. So if my moderators come up here, like Vons or Lionel or anyone, if they come up here, they got moderator privileges, meaning that they can stay up here as long as they want to. So that's different for them. Vaughn say Shan scared, she going last hell. Nobody haven't even came up here yet, Vaughn. So yeah. While people coming up here, let me go back and look at some of y'all comments so I could see how the way y'all feeling about this topic. Once again, shout out to everyone's in the building. Vons I see in the building. Scorpio Mama, salute and welcome. She says she missed me. I miss you too as well. Thank you. Thank you. Scorpio, she says she don't like her empathy. Gas man, salute. What's up with it, bro? Gas man saying Christ is king. Then he says, sorry, life isn't like the Wizard of Oz or the Disney Channel. To be honest with you, there are some people in life who is exactly like the Wizard of Oz for real.
What?
It is some people in life who are exactly like the Disney Channel where they get all their wishes granted.
What?
The reason why is because it's written in the story, it's written in the storyline, it's written in the script for their life to be that way. So, yeah. It's rugged and raw. We replay the course that we did. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Scorpio, she said I had to deal with women in the worst way. Vaughn, she said this. So you mad at God because you ain't rich? No, I'm not mad at God because I'm not rich. Because there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Okay. All right. I'm only frustrated because of the wealthy part, because I know that wealth um can entail different things such as social status. Social status is wealth. Financial status is wealth. Having a certain type of presence or even an online presence is considered as wealth. My issue is that God has written into the story that certain people deserves that wealthiness versus me. Even though I desire it, even though I want it, even though I know I qualify for it, even though I know that even in my mindset that I would do everything righteously to attain it and to respect it. But God says, no, nope. He said, nope. There's a story in the Bible, right? There's several stories in the Christian Bible, right? Where in the Old Testament, um in the book of Exodus, right? Y'all remember in the book of Exodus when Moses, adult Moses, right? He kept going to the Pharaoh, right? And he kept telling the Pharaoh to let my people go. And guess what was written in the story? It was written in the story that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Once again, it was written in the story that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. What does that mean? That means that God literally wrote into his story that he made Pharaoh become cold hearted to not let them people go. Let's say, hypothetically, in that story, that Pharaoh really wanted to let his people go, that he wanted to let them go, that he thought about letting them people go, that he felt that deep down inside the things that his father did in the past, that it was just some straight bullshit.
That's bullshit.
And he wanted to do things different from his father. But guess what? God hardened or manipulated this dude's mind into going into a false sense of reality to the point where this dude mind or heart got hardened just so Pharaoh could be a part of the story. And I want y'all to think about that. And this goes along to what I was saying about the wealthy part. Now, I was telling y'all earlier that, hey, I got the mindset that I know I'll be righteous by being wealthy and all this stuff, there, right? But let's say, hypothetically speaking, that even if I do qualify for that, even if I do that, right, that God would literally harden my heart or manipulate me to becoming this hardened person to where I end up doing the exact opposite of what I say I was going to do. Where I say, and I said that I'll be righteous with it and everything like that. He'll purposely manipulate my heart to be hardened to where I'm not going to be righteous at all, where I'll be corrupt as hell. And then literally sit up her gaslight and say, ha ha, I told you that you can't handle that. No, it wasn't the point I couldn't handle. It was because the dude hardened my heart or manipulated my heart to where I couldn't be that way, even if I wanted to. So, but the devil gives awards too. Don't let me get into this whole concept about the devil. That's another lie for another one show. Talking about the devil and the reason the whole existence of the devil and all the stuff. You know what? Since y'all scared to come up here, you know what? Let me tell y'all about the story of Lucifer. All right, for those of y'all who didn't know, I talked about this before, but we'll talk about it again. Here's the whole story of Lucifer, and this is in all the Christian books, the Apocrypha, all the stuff there. All right, this is the story of Lucifer. God had created Lucifer to be the highest ranking angel in the heavens. He literally created Lucifer to be under God. The matter of fact, he literally created Lucifer to be on the same level as y'all call Jesus or Yahshua. Okay. He literally did that, right? He literally created Lucifer to want to be that way. So Lucifer knew everything about God because God had taught Lucifer everything. God had taught Lucifer the whole process of designing angels. He taught Lucifer the whole process about the law, statutes, and judgments, and everything. He taught Lucifer by Yahshua Hamashiach or Jesus Christ, as y'all know him, right? He taught Lucifer by all this stuff right there. He even programmed Lucifer to have a way of captivating the angels as he created them. He had Lucifer in a way to where he could articulate himself in such a way to where the angels would literally want to follow Lucifer, as though as Lucifer is God himself. Now, keep in mind, God had designed Lucifer to be this way. Okay. So, how the way the story goes is that one day God had came up with this concept. God came up with this concept about free will. God came up with this concept that he believed that the angels of the host shouldn't have free will, that the angels had to follow God under through the guidance of Lucifer, Yahshua HaMashiach, and all the stuff there, right? Lucifer questioning that because he designed Lucifer to have allegedly free will. He questioned that. He questioned God about that. He felt some type of way about that because deep down inside, he knew it wasn't right to have the angels under control like that. So the story went on is that Lucifer questioning that, and then next thing you know, Lucifer started doing the same as that thing, similar to what I was telling you about what I started doing when I started like reading scripts and researching and doing things like that. Lucifer started digging deep and researching different things about God and the creation process and all this different stuff, right? And he had came to a conclusion of the matter. He had came to the conclusion of the matter that dang, God is literally trolling us for real. He started preaching this to the angels. The angels started believing it. God had commanded one of his other highest angel, Michael, to come and troll Lucifer, to literally tell Lucifer the way you're thinking is wrong and you need to follow God. From there, it had created a beef with Lucifer and Michael. This is what created the war in heaven. From the war in heaven, right? They end up beefing and warring against each other. God end up getting mad because of the war that allegedly he's letting happen, right? And guess what? God got so pissed off at the angels that God one day decided that, hey, I'm going to create this whole new universe, right? I'm going to create this whole new universe, this whole new reality, and I'm going to place human beings there. And these human beings is going to do the thing that I wanted to do in the first place with the angels, which is to have a reality of free will, but in reality, you don't. He did that right, corrected them. The one angels and stuff right, seeing that and stuff right. They praise God for the correction because keep in mind the angels is programmed. Lucifer, on the other hand, he looked at he like God, you bullshitting. How the world you created these people, right? Then on top of that, God literally trolled the people, trolled Lucifer and the angels to say that these human beings is even higher than the angels, even higher than Lucifer. So Lucifer not only started beefing with Michael, but he started beefing with the people on earth because of what God did. After the war was over, all the angels, including Lucifer, had fell into the very planet of where God say. And this was done intentionally by God. This was done intentionally that God allowed Lucifer and the angels who was with Lucifer in the heavenly wars, right, to fall into this rock, into this prison where he had these people at. These people who are higher beings. And so that's what created Lucifer and his father to become what is known as devils. That's the reason why Lucifer and the devils hate men, is because of that. So, in a nutshell, that's the story of Lucifer. That's the story of the fallen and the reason why things happen the way it happened in the heavens. And that's, I summed it up, but in different books, it tells that story in different ways. Salute, Lionel. Salute, Vance. Welcome, welcome.
What's up, man?
Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Mr. Lounge,
Good
Lionel.
morning.
Yeah, it's still morning,
Oh,
unfortunately. Scorpio, she says she have a question. What question do you have, Scorpio?
I thought I interrupted Vaughn's. My bad.
No,
Speak
I
said,
ain't
is
said
this the
nothing yet.
Paradise Lost story of Lucifer? Part of that it is. Part of it is, bro.
Uh-oh.
Part of it is.
Urban. My whole thing is, man. If you're a believer in Christ, you can't be a believer of free will. That's how I be looking at it because it's an illusion. Can't have a whole all-knowing author, an all-knowing narrator, and then sit here and try to tell me he don't know something. No, he's the one guiding the plot.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Go
just the
go on.
reality. If you know what omniscience is, essentially, that's essentially what it is. You have no free will. It is all deterministic.
Now let me ask you a question. We really talked about this before, Lionel.
Yeah,
By you being a by being an author and a writer, you should know a lot about the concept about free will, right?
yeah.
And you should also know the concept about creation as well too. So
Mhm.
by you being this alleged creator of God and the characters that you write, do you allow your characters free will?
And no, at any moment I can change whatever's going to happen. I'm the one writing their course. I'm the one writing their fate.
Hmm.
I'm the one developing their personalities. If this 3-year-old little boy is about to get sexually assaulted, I'm writing it. If no one's going to save him, I'm writing it. If I just drowned this little girl, I wrote it.
Lord.
That's the reality. Tell me God isn't doing that. Because if he isn't doing it, then he's not all powerful.
Vons, go ahead, get into the conversation.
I would just like to start off by saying God is not the author of confusion. But, I can understand. Okay, first of all, I want to say this. Mr. Lounge, ain't nothing wrong with you having beef with God. Okay. I've done it. Okay. If I'm being honest, yes, there is still, some pushback on a couple things, in my own personal life, that I give him. It's like, I mean, do I really have to and why? You know, um, yes, he does know everything, but, and I heard you, you were like, well, it's not fair. I disagree because I feel that God is fair. Okay, He reigns on the, the just as well as unjust, or however you supposed to say it, right? Because He gives everybody free will, even the people that we feel don't deserve it. Like if somebody wrongs us, we expect them to, you know, I mean, not everybody necessarily may think this way, but we do expect him to, strike them down. But how I look at it is, if that's how I feel and what I want for the next person, then the next person could want that for me as well. And then I don't get a chance to, do right or, change my ways. I'm just basically condemned, and if you ask me, once you're condemned, there is no, turning back. There is no, and when I say turning back, that, there is no repentance. There is no apologies. There is no forgiveness. It's just is what it is. So I strongly disagree with you about him not being fair. I did hear you say, you respect them, and I get it. I can honestly say I was the total opposite. I was just disrespectful. It was like, forget you, forget, your laws, and forget, everything, because, I did things the right way, or at least I felt I was doing things the right way. And, I just been unhappy, and, nothing works out for me, and I'm doing everything that you, said to do. But when I look back over a lot of stuff, I wasn't doing everything, exactly right. Especially because, I wasn't reading my Bible. And then, I mean, we sin every day. So do I
Speak for
think he's
yourself.
a genie? Do I think he's a genie? No. Are there some things that I feel like I'm old, or I should have? Absolutely. But I also feel like, we do have the choice to, make our lives what we want them to be, just as long as it is truly righteous. You know what I'm saying? So you can be looking at it like, I am righteous and I am doing right, but are you really according to God's, laws and how he looks at things? Or is it your own ego that's telling you that you are and you're deserving, and, you should. But I think, when it comes to certain things, we have to humble ourselves, and we have to go to God and, ask him, like, hey, how can, like, not even how, but, show me how to truly, do right by you, so that I can get what I want, even though I don't really think he works exactly like that. I do think that, we have a sense of entitlement when it comes to certain things. And if you ask me to, pretty much show you that he's God, it's just not gonna work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
So,
That's really how I look at it.
so let me ask you this question, Von Son. What have God did in your life that you consider as fair?
Um, if I'm being honest, I don't know why I always say that. Some prayers that
Because
I
you're
prayed,
lying.
um, that I really didn't even really deserve to be answered. But the little good that I did do, I feel like he was like, all right, I got you. Um, I also feel like he was fair in judgment, over me, some choices and decisions that I made, whether it was, against myself or other people. I feel like he's pretty fair. I've seen people who've done me wrong, you know, get a little something back. Was I like, oh yeah, that's what they get? No, I actually felt like, well, damn. And I keep it real and say there was a situation where someone was just getting a little taste of what they, did to me, and I got all excited and hype. And if you ask me, that was like, my pride and ego, and God was like, you no longer have a front row seat. I just feel like there
That sounds
with God,
stupid.
there's a lot of humbling. I'm just giving you my perspective, Lionel. It can be stupid to you, but that's how I look
No,
at
no,
it.
I hear you. I'm just saying, do you hear you?
Yeah, I hear me. I mean, yes, I hear Lionel. Yes, I hear me.
Oh, I saw the gangster about to come out.
Hey, Lionel, before you make your point, I'm gonna ask you the same question. What has God did that was fair in your life?
Fair? I think my whole existence is unfair. So I definitely don't think he's a fair and just God.
Oh yeah, you good. Continue. You go ahead. Continue with your point, Lionel.
My whole thing is, what is the concept of omniscience? Because I think people give breathing room to the concept of omniscience. If you're omniscient and you're omnipresent, you're everywhere, you're all knowing and you're everywhere, where does that leave room for randomness? It doesn't leave any room for randomness because you're authoring everything. You literally know the beginning of the story to the end of the story. You're literally at the beginning, middle, of the end.
But you're forgetting that he's not the author of confusion. You're forgetting that part.
I think y'all are reinterpreting confusion into something different.
No, no,
I,
we're
I
not.
think I
Because
think what's in front of us,
mm-hmm,
often we don't see what's right in front of us.
right.
So I think y'all are using that word incorrectly because now we're creating a paradox. You can't be everything, and then now we're creating randomness.
But who said okay, okay,
I'm
okay.
about to say, don't go there now.
Okay. I'm not gonna say that because at the okay,
Is he
so
all wait? Is he all powerful?
yes.
Then there is no confusion. There's no randomness. There's
No,
nothing else
you can't
but
say that there is none because
absolution.
there is.
But
There
then,
is.
and who's
And
authoring that though? Once again, if you're all powerful, that means you're authoring that.
okay, so
Hey, real
Jesus.
quick
Ugh.
before y'all want to get deeper into this discussion, let me go ahead and address Scorpio Mama. Scorpio, she was asking me this. She was saying that she has been a godmother to her neighbor's kids for over 8 years, and now she's to the point where she don't want to be a godmother to the one said kids anymore. And she was asking about how can she no longer be that way as far as the understanding what I'm getting. So um to be honest with you, Scorpio Mom, if that's something that you no longer want to do, then it's your responsibility to tell them that or to articulate that to them and let them know, like, hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all giving me this duty or responsibility to have this role, for your family. But now I'm just to the point that I no longer want to do it. Just that simple. Yeah, for us, to my understanding of what you're saying. Y'all go ahead. Sorry about that.
You cannot be all powerful, and then tell me what he's not. That sounds asinine. That's a contradiction. Either he's all powerful or is he not. It's one or the other. Either he's all knowing or he's not.
Okay.
What
So go ahead, Mr. Miles. Go
real
ahead.
quick. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to figure out how is God fair in our life and our story. That's what I'm trying to figure. I'm trying to
I'm
get that's a logical
yeah,
reasoning to why God
I'm
is
getting there.
considered as fair in our life. Go ahead, Vance.
Okay. So he's fair because All right. So we all know he is the creator of all things, both good and evil. Why? Why is he, the creator of both things good and evils? Because when he created Lucifer, and yes, I put all the blame on him, okay? Lucifer decided to go against him. In God's eyes, that was considered evil, right? So then, he created the earth and the world, and other people, did things that were against him, which is also considered evil. He's fair because instead of just, striking, Lucifer down and saying, forget you, okay, he allows him, he's literally giving him a chance, okay, a fair chance at doing what he want to do, get as many people to be on his side, just like he does, he pretty much, with himself as the creator.
How is that fair? He the one who set the nigga up.
He didn't. How did he set him up, Lionel? How did he set him up?
Because he's all knowing. He's all powerful. Those stipulations don't disappear at y'all convenience. That means he
Okay.
already knew what dude was going to do. He pretty much
Okay.
wrote the story to set him up.
So it's, but you can't say he wrote the story. You
Yes,
can
you
say
can. He's the
no.
creator.
You can. Oh, you know what? If you want to say he wrote the story, okay, he wrote the story. Okay. Now what? What are we gonna do about him writing the story and
That's the
making it to
Hold on,
where
'cause you're hitting the point
what?
right now. You are literally hitting the point right now. There was nothing Lucifer could do because the story was already written for him and set up for him to fail and to be punished. How was it fair?
Let me once again reiterate this. All right. So the whole purpose of me talking about this is that I'm not trying to correct, a disconnect with anybody religious belief systems, okay? But this is a interesting conversation or a thought provoking conversation that we need to have honestly, because there are a lot of people out there that have the same sentiment as well too, that they feel this certain type of way. And as those of y'all who believe in any type of religious belief, whether it's Christianity, spirituality, whatever the case may be, right, you have to, your job and your duty according to the story of God wrote for your life is that you have to articulate to yourself and explain the reasoning why when people ask these questions. It's not to convince them, it's not to get them converted. It's simply to give these people an answer. Okay. Now I want y'all to keep that in
Right.
mind while y'all talking. All right, go ahead.
Now I'm gonna say this: can't nobody convert me, and ain't trying to convert nobody. But like I said, now what is it that what
Kids. Let me stop. My bad. My bad.
Lionel is. Keep in mind that God created Lionel to be this way, y'all.
Yeah, y'all got to keep that in mind.
hold on, Lionel, hold on, y'all, hold on.
But yeah, go ahead, Lionel. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, I'm just saying. I think we try to ignore the attributes of God when it's convenient for us to tell the story. The reality is, he's not fair. I mean, depending on your life, I mean, either you're going to have a life that is the bright side of Nickelodeon, or you're going to have a life that's the dark side of Nickelodeon. And a lot of people didn't have the choices or the comprehension skills to navigate their choices when things were happening to them. But we're supposed to just know, or are we given grace? Is it outright stated we're just given grace? Because too many people like to say we should just know the right thing to do. We should just know what to do, how to do it. You're not waking up as a baby and there's a guidebook put in your hand. You got a blanket put over you and you're thrown into another room.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I don't know who's saying all these things to you, Lionel, or who said that to you, that we should just know what to do, what, as far as right is wrong, because I don't agree with that. I will say once you go through something in life and you've made enough, bad decisions or stupid decisions or ignorant decisions, that, once you know better, you do better. I am gonna say that. But as far as, people believing that we just, you know, wait are born, knowing every little thing, I strongly disagree.
um, I find that interesting, because according to the Christian Bible, right, and also the Torah and the Quran as well too, they give an account of Genesis, which we done talked about this before. They give the account of Genesis when Eve had bitten into the fruit and she became aware, right? And
Right.
so afterwards, God ended up forbidding them to, I believe, for them to partake with the I think the tree of knowledge as well too.
Okay.
And so in reality, deep down inside, they are consciously aware of the knowledge that's out there. Would you agree to that?
I mean, yeah, but she put herself in that position. Well, she put all us in that position.
I mean, really, did she really put herself into that position, or was she manipulated into being in that position by the serpent?
Well, she was manipulated, but she knew better. I'm gonna put it to you like this. She started to question, things that she had already knew better than to do. And she was in a sense manipulated, but if you ask me, she, allowed, I mean, yes, she allowed herself to be manipulated because, I mean, outside of her, there are other people in the Bible, who did what God told them to do and never wavered from it. So, I mean, what's life without temptation? You know what I'm saying? That to me, that's a part of free will. You know, if you've already been told by your mother, hey, the stove is hot, don't touch it, and you touch it anyway and you get burned, I mean, that's on you. You knew better. So if somebody comes on, well, it burn you? Is it hot? Why even question? You know, why? Because I mean, it's in us to question everything. That's another thing I want to ask you. Who said it's not okay to question God? You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? We've all done it. We do it. But what I am gonna say is we can't get mad at him, for having or wanting things to be a certain type of way and expecting things to be a certain type of way, and we go against it because we want to go find out why we not supposed to or what's the harm in it.
You can't get mad at the author.
I mean, getting mad at him gonna do what exactly?
I mean, but who gave us these feelings?
Gave us what feelings?
The feelings to even get mad to begin with.
You wouldn't get mad if you just do what he told you to do in the
That's a,
first place.
that's a lie. People do what God say all the time
No,
and they
that's
get
not a
mad.
lie.
So
People
Because
do
the
what
only
God say all the time and they get burnt.
so
okay,
let me redirect back to what Vance was saying earlier, and I kind of want to give Vance perspective on this. All right, so Vance was mentioning the whole concept about free will. She's mentioned the concept about Eve taking the fruit from the serpent and all this stuff there, right? Um, I was explaining to you earlier about the whole story about Lucifer, how he fell down and stuff, right? Now here's a continuation of the story, and I want to get your perspective on this. The continuation of the story is this: after when Lucifer fell down and stuff, right, into this earth, this prison, this rock, right? Once again, according to Lucifer design, part of his design is that he know how to articulate himself in a way where he can want to move people to do certain things. So guess what? He decided that he wanted to go to the first man and convince them the same type of story that he was telling the angels of what God was doing, which in reality God was trolling them. and stuff, right? So he did that same story with the first man, first woman. Went down there, told them about the same story. Now keep in mind that God designed him to be this way. God designed him to be the way that he was in everything. All part of the story. Keep in mind also that all this stuff is happening because it's part of what God is writing in the story. It's happening because God literally had placed that woman in a perfect moment, in a perfect situation to meet the serpent or Lucifer, right? To have the conversation with Lucifer, so Lucifer could literally convince that woman that, hey, you don't have free will. You're in a prison. You're in an illusion. Okay. The woman got convinced on that. She decided to go ahead and partake in this knowledge that Lucifer was giving them. The end of the story is that both the man and the woman got punished for something that was already designed to happen. So once again, let me question you about this again. What is the fairness in that whole entire situation? How's that situation fair for even us as human beings? Now, also keep in mind this too, because of what Adam and Eve did in that garden, right? Guess what?
Mhm.
Generations and generations, all the way up to where we at right now, has been plagued and
Mhm.
cursed by that choice and decision that they made. So once
Mhm.
again, how is that fair?
Well, so you said God designed it all. Okay, yes. Okay, there's two roads, right? Okay, yes, I'm saying it. It's up to us to choose which road. Eve had a choice. She could have just ignored all of that. Will you die? Will this happen? Will that? And she could have just said, no, God said don't eat it. Okay, I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to try to eat it. She had a choice. Adam had a choice. He could have did what his creator, okay, because he was here first, told him to do, or he could have listened to his wife, okay, or been manipulated by his wife. He made the choice to do what God told him not to do. Regardless of who gave it to him, who manipulated, he still did what God told him not to do. God is fair because he gives us all a choice. He gives us a choice to live right, do bad things, have bad things happen to us and still live right. We have a choice. That's why he's fair. It's I understand that y'all feel, oh well, he designed it all, but we all have a choice and we can just do what he said or we can do the opposite.
Okay, gotcha. Once again, shout out to everybody who's tuned into the stream right now. Appreciate y'all participation. Um, what? Oh, I seen this. Speak. He said this. He said, "I think folks looking to be looking to this deep. Well, looking deep into this. To be honest, I can understand speak concept behind that, but at the same time, this is what I was saying about the difference between people who are chosen to be part of the story, or people who are chosen to be awakened versus people who are not awakened. It's similar to the movie The Matrix, right? Where the character Neo, Morpheus, and all these different other people became awakened to the truth of the Matrix, which is they're living in a false reality. But there are other people who exist in the program or in the matrix where they're consciously aware of it, but they just don't care. Even in the movie, even when people have been awakened to the truth, there's a character named Cipher in the movie, right? Where Cipher knew the truth, right? But he decided to resist the truth. He decided that, hey, this truth is no better than my current situation, and that's the reason why a lot of people think like that. When
He
they
was
find out the
fair.
truth about it, right, they say that this type of truth is no different than the situation I'm living in right now, so I'd rather be plugged back in and live this false sense of reality. And that's what a lot of
Understandable.
people do. They literally replug themselves be back in and be part of the false sense of reality, or they'll become as known as agents to it, or agents to the chaos, to where they'll literally participate in it. They'll participate in the chaos by making sure that established order. My brothers and sisters, is the whole concept about organized religion, where you have people who are poor or organized religion, where they literally know the truth, they've been taught the truth, but they choose to keep you plugged in purposely, to keep the story going, because they feel like that this is the will of the creator of the story. And what do y'all think about that?
I personally think there's a difference in the truth versus our truth.
Oh, go ahead,
And
explain.
we can, so for example, I keep saying, if God is the not if God is the creator of all things, okay? And if he has a team and the other team is against him, me personally, I'd rather be with him than against him, because being against him really doesn't do anything for me, if I'm just keeping it real. So the truth can be, oh, he's a narcissist and he's a manipulator and he's, causing all this confusion, you know, that can be my truth as far as, how I see things, right?
Hmm.
But is that the truth? Is that the absolute honest to God truth? I don't believe so. You know what I'm saying? I can come up, matter of fact, I can lean to my own understanding and live by that versus living by, the actual truth, which is that he does not, you know, like all this chaos and want all this confusion. I
Hmm.
Nah, mm-mm. That
So
that's the devil.
so let me ask you this question: what is the truth? Period. Because I know you saying that there are different versions of the truth. There's our truth, then there's the actual truth. So what is the actual truth?
Well, if you ask me, the actual truth is that God is good, and He can't. I believe the word that I'm looking for is withstand evil of any kind. So, with that being said, you know, he wrote everything, but he's not with the shit. You know,
Hmm.
if you want to be with the shit, you go over there with him. If you want to be over here with some decent, stay over here with me. Cause
Okay,
I don't want all, I don't like all that.
let me ask you a follow up question. How can you differentiate? How do you know the difference between that? This is the actual truth versus your truth. How do you know the difference between the two?
Well, how do I know? I can only use my own experiences of living in darkness and loving darkness until it devoured me. And then I couldn't, withstand it. So that's the truth for me, because if you ask me, well, I'm gonna say the level of darkness that I was in, it was insufferable. It came to a point where it was like, I'm ready to clock out, you know,
Hmm.
and without him, being a light in the dark, you know what I'm saying, I would still be in that darkness, or even possibly not even be here, whether it's not here mentally, where I absolutely lose my mind, I'm forever crazy, or in death, or even just dead, being a part of the living dead, which is like spiritually, I'm empty and there's no good in me and I see no good, and goodness is just unobtainable. You know what I'm saying? That now that's for me, but I can't speak for everybody.
Hmm. And see, even in that sentiment that you said, I agree with you, and I wholeheartedly believe in that as well too. But in reality, that's our version of the truth. That's not actually the truth. You know what I'm saying? That we're trying to seek in this particular conversation. You know what I'm saying? We've been taught a version of the truth through religions and through social interaction, through our upbringing. So once again, we go back to the question: is what is actually the truth? What's the actual truth? Lana, I think you had something to say too. You go ahead, bro. Sour Patch, salute. And salute to everyone who are tuning in to the show. Appreciate y'all as well too. We're now having a call in slash. I really don't want to do a panel, but they want to do a panel, so we're doing a panel. All right. So we're now having a discussion. All right. And our current discussion, we're now talking about what is actually the truth and how do we know the difference between our truth and the actual truth. Go ahead, Lana.
God loves chaos. It's really that simple. God loves chaos. We are literally all chaotic and out of control. And that is how he designed us. That is how he built us. That is how the world works. It's very naive to think otherwise.
Hmm. Oh, by the way, Lionel, Speak said this. He said, no, Lionel, no, Lionel choose to be that way.
I don't even know what he was referring to.
He was talking about earlier when you was making the whole comment about you know, free will and the choices that you was making in your life.
Oh,
He
I hope
said
he
that you
does. I
choose
hope
to
he
be that way.
doesn't have that naive belief that we have free will. Can't believe in an omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent God and then think we have free will. Everything is determined. Everything.
Hmm.
He is the author. He is everywhere. He is behind every action, every move, every thought. That is the whole point of the concepts we give attribute to him. He is chaos. He loves chaos. That's where we at. That
Hmm.
whole thing, I think he's love. Cut that shit out. I'm a living example of that's bullshit.
So let me challenge you even on that concept about God is chaos, because part of it I do agree with that, but also part of me do see God as being a quote unquote loving God as well too, due to um and the reason why is due to the whole creation process. Now, once again, I know that by you being an alternate creator, you can relate to this. Now, um, God went through the whole concept of creating everything, creating beings known as angels and all this stuff there, right? Creating the heavens, creating the universe, creating man, creating woman, creating our ideology, all this stuff, right? And
Mhm.
once when he finished doing that, it's stated in every religious scripture that he said that it was good. In other words, he enjoyed it, he liked it, right? So through it all, is it an honest assessment that there's beauty behind the madness, there's happiness behind even the chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Scorpio, I answered your question earlier. You told me what it was, and I read it again. I like, oh, okay. But yeah, I answer your question. So, but I reiterated again on Scorpio. So, um, in that situation right there, once again, that is your decision on that. You'll have to um talk to them about that and let them know how you feel about it. Just that simple. If you no longer want to be a part of that, let them know. Speak. He said this: every choice is a choice of free will.
That sounds stupid as shit speaking. You know it does. Cut that crap out.
Okay, I have a question. Lionel, why are you so strong in belief of that?
What do you mean?
Why
It's literally the concepts that has already been attributed to him. If you know what omnipotence means, omnipresence, omniscient means, you know what acidity means. If you know what, um, go through the attributes of what God is, essentially. There leaves no room for stupid shit like we have choices. No, it's all determined. Literally.
but wait, why do you feel that that you don't have a choice though? Like I don't understand that.
Our choices are illusions because they've already been written.
both choices have been
Everything is playing out.
but Lionel, both choices have been written. Both of them.
Wait, both?
Yes, there are two choices.
No, there's not choice. There's plenty of different choices.
Okay, what okay, give me an example.
Just the concept of possibility in itself. Everything can get spread up to a myriad of possibilities. It's not always just a simple yes and no. Things get expanded. The problem is people want to reinterpret these modes and attributes that God has created, that He embodies, and they want to give wiggle room for things that has no wiggle room for something that's absolute. Because y'all just end up sounding more stupid the more you talk about, because you're giving what type of wiggle room does an absolute entity has?
Hey, Lionel, real quick before you finish that, and before Vance, you want to answer. People in the chat saying, Vance, that your mic is lower than usual. So if you are able to be able to turn your mic up, then you can. But I can hear you good. I can hear
Yeah,
you real good.
Hey, my
Yeah, I hear you
mic.
perfect. But some of the people in the chat saying that you're sounding a little lower, and I know that Lionel mic is higher. For some reason, I don't know. You went and got you a podcast mic, Lionel, or what?
I'm
Because you
always
is
on my
talking loud as
phone.
hell.
I'm always on my phone.
Oh,
Okay, is this better, y'all? Can y'all hear me better in the chat?
yeah, you're good. I mean, I can hear you perfect.
I want the chat to be able to hear me too, though.
But I believe she was getting ready to respond to what Lionel was saying. Go ahead.
I mean, he hasn't given me an example other than, absolutes and possibilities. If you're saying like it's absolute that billions of people are going to be in hell, then okay, yes, I can agree with you on that, right? But what other absolute are you talking about?
My bad. I don't know how else to dumb it down, and I'm giving it from the
And I
perspective.
just trying to make it cuss, but go ahead, go ahead.
I'm literally telling y'all what it is. I mean, again, there's no. How are y'all literally researchers of divinity, but yet you don't know the attributes and modes that are discussed with God itself and everything that makes it what it is? Because that's the level I'm talking to you on. That's another issue I have. It doesn't matter if you're just a starter or you're an expert. There are certain things about it that y'all should know if y'all speaking so strongly on them.
I
I'm
mean,
challenging that mentality that y'all have, because he
mhm.
is as Irvin calls him, the Most High. He is the absolute creator.
Hold on, baby.
In his absolute create as his status as the absolute creator, he has attributes that makes him absolute. It leaves no wiggle room for finite illusionary concepts like choice or free will. No, he's already done it. Every act has already been completed by him. The story has already been concluded by him. He knows the possibilities and the directions that's going to be we're going to go. What room is there for y'all to think that there's wiggle room for something that's supreme? Or maybe Urban need to dumb it down for him.
No, I absolutely understand what you're saying, and my answer is still the same. There's two choices. Okay, he wrote the end of both stories, and it's up to us to choose which route we're gonna take.
I don't think you understand what you're saying personally.
No, I don't think. I'm gonna put it to you like this, Lionel. You can't change someone's mind who believe what they, just like I can't change your mind. You can't change Christian's mind. You can't change people's mind who feel like exactly what I just said.
But I'm not trying to. That's not even what I'm trying to do.
I
I'm
mean,
answering Urban's question.
you're not gonna get us to understand either because
Y'all don't want to understand because of that.
well,
That's the thing. Y'all don't want to understand.
no,
I
no,
deal with y'all
no,
all the time. Trust me. Y'all don't
no.
want to understand.
No, we don't want to understand
I
your
know.
way of thinking or anybody else's way of thinking because then that would mean that there isn't a choice. then that would mean that, once you do something wrong, there is no repentance. You
Sounds
know,
like my faith is weak.
no, it ain't that our faith is weak.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
No, your way of thinking, there is nothing good gonna come out of it. Absolutely nothing.
Good
Nothing
doesn't play
at
a
all.
role in what I'm saying, though.
So real quick, y'all. Speak. He did say this. He said, "No, I believe he has several roads set for anyone person, but ultimately you choose what path you go down." Now, this is interesting that Speak talk about this because this remind me of the other scripture, well, actually the parable that Jesus was talking about the wide gate and the narrow road. Okay. So, according to the parable one, Jesus was giving us the concept about the kingdom of heaven. He was saying that there's simply two paths that you could take. You could either take the wide road or you could take the one narrow road. One road will lead you to damnation. The other road will lead you into a paradise. So, with that being said, right, and we talking about the concept about free will, about choices and different things like that. Imagine you only have two choices in your whole entire life. You either choose to be part of this script that God wrote for your life, or you choose to be a part of this script that God wrote for your life. Isn't that not free will? Isn't that you're literally is being best way I could think of, you're literally being bullied to choose which one. It's almost as though as that God is holding a gun to you and saying that you either have to choose this way or that way. If you choose this way, great. I'm gonna write it in, and that's the way you're gonna do. If you choose the other way, whatever. I'm gonna write it in, and that's what's gonna happen. So, is that truly free will, or is that someone who's dictating what you should do in your life? And this is what I was saying earlier about even the concept with my life. Everything that happened in my life, I didn't have free will over there. I didn't even have a choice in the matter on that. I didn't have a choice in the matter to try to control my parents and have me going to all this religious belief and I was doing all this weird ritualistic stuff with me. I didn't have no say in that matter. I had to do it no matter what, all the way up until I became an adult. When I became an adult and I started making other choices and decisions, the decision still came winding back to the current road, which is me talking about religion and stuff. So, do I really have free will in my life or what? But
I'm
y'all go
gonna
ahead.
ask, did you feel you didn't have a choice because you had respect for your parents and you didn't want to be disobedient,
It was
or were
you
you
it
afraid?
it was all of that, Voss. It was because first of all, I love and respect my parents. That's a given. The second part of it is that they preached to me about obedience is better than sacrifice, right? And
Right,
then on the third part, they preach fear into me and my siblings. If you didn't do these certain things that we command you to do, then there's going to be consequences for their actions.
right.
And
Now,
that's not only for me, but that's for everyone existing on this planet. They have experienced this same type of concept, whether it's religious or not.
facts. So, can I? Is it safe for me to say? And when I say safe, can I respectfully say that that was a little extreme, and that's a part of the problem? In today's world, when it comes to God, that people, be making things seem what they make um what is the word I'm looking for? Sanctification seem unattainable.
hmm I mean, even in that situation right there, that still don't mean that what I'm saying we ultimately have free will. You know what I'm saying? That's ultimately still means that your character in a story, you have to choose how the way the author is going to write the story on you, even though the author already have an ideal of how the way it's going to go because he already pre-wrote it, which what we're talking about predestined,
I
right?
don't think they're getting what you're saying completely, though. That's the thing. I perfectly get what you're saying.
No,
But if you have free will, this story is written by how you will it. That is the
Hmm.
freedom of that will. If I go outside right now and the garbage man come out, has nothing to do with my story. I didn't write that. That shit was already determined. People that just come in my life will say, oh, you have to make the choice to get rid of them. That has nothing to do with the fact that they were written in here against my will. I didn't make that choice to make them come in here. That dime down the street that waved at me with the ugly skirt. This chick, I didn't write her in my story.
Even the same concept I was saying about my parents. I didn't have the choice of the matter about choosing what type of parents I was going to be assigned to. It
Exactly.
happened that way, and even within that story, I don't have the will power to literally dictate to my parents how the way I want to live my life. They determine that, not me. And it's the same thing with every last one of y'all who are listening right now. Your parents the one who determine your life. Where if you was in a two-parent household, single-parent household, you live with your grandma and grandpappy, whoever the case may be, you was in the foster care system, wherever the case may be, your life was determined while you was young. And you had to live that life according to what was given to you. You could question it, yeah, but you still had no other choice of the matter but to participate in it. Some could say you could participate in for survival purposes, but that's still part of the script, right? That's still part of the story, right? So once again, I'm not questioning people religious belief or anything like that. What we're talking about right now, we're questioning the whole concept about free will. We're questioning the whole concept about truth as well too. What is the actual truth of this whole entire matter? And the reason why we're having this conversation is because those of y'all who are religious, or those of y'all who are spiritual or anything like that, right? You have to answer this, because there are going to be people like myself and other people who's going to question you about that. And you have to give them an answer. And you can't give them a watered down answer, say, well, that's the will of God. We have free will, we have choice. You have to explain it to them so they can understand. They may not agree with it, but at least they can walk away with a different level of understanding. And that's the reason why we're talking about this right now. But go ahead, y'all.
well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna ask before I assume. So, have y'all made? Well, Mr. Lounge, I'm gonna ask you. Have you made peace? With your parents and the decisions that they made. In life. Have you forgiven them? For making you, feel the way that you feel about things.
Have I made peace of the situation? Yes, I have made peace that this is
Hmm.
all part of what they believe that they needed to do, a part of the story. Have I forgiven them of the transgressions that they did in my life and stuff? Part of me, no. But have I accepted it? Yeah.
Hmm.
And the reason why I haven't forgiven them, because um, I look at it as this. I look at it as that if we're talking about free will, right, that they had a choice to choose things differently. If you're looking at that concept, but they choose not to do that. They choose to do whatever it is that they felt like they didn't need to do. In return, it affected my life the way it did.
Mm. Okay.
So that's why I say that no, I don't forgive them for the choice of decision, because they don't even forgive themselves, because they feel like the choices, decision that they made is a righteous choice.
Right.
Now, do I
So,
have hatred for them over it? No, I don't.
mhm.
Not at all. Do I have beef with them over it? Yes, I do. The same concept about why I got beef over God with the things that God do with my life. And I hope you understand that.
No, no, no. I'm gonna say this because no, my answer is never going to be well, I'm gonna say in situations like this because I'm not just ignorant. That it's the will of God. But what I will say is forgiving our and I'm not vocal, in the public about a lot of things I went through in my childhood, right?
Hmm.
So I admire you, Lionel. I've even, told Truthy because she's talked a little bit about her childhood. Bam. People who, are brave enough, because for me it's just a little different. Um, I feel like I've embarrassed my parents enough with my own behavior, and like I'll be give y'all a quick, like, in therapy. Um, my therapist, pointed out to me that I had issues with my mother. I got mad at him because how dare you, right? My own issue, my own toxicity was like, we're not gonna, bash my mom. I don't even want to be mad at her, but I had to go through the emotions and address some things with her, even still have a jacked up relationship with her in order to really, heal. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like it's not black and white when it comes to things like that. We do have to address things that we don't want to address, in order to heal. Now, I'm not telling you to go yell at your parents, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I think it's important in life that, especially when it comes to our parents, that we do, acknowledge, hey, and even if they have not changed, completely in totality, you know what I'm saying? Because even though me and my mom have a great relationship now, there is some things, that I'm just kind of like, girl, but it's not so detrimental that I I'm reverting back and holding on to a lot of negative stuff. You know what I'm saying? With my father, it's a little different because he has not changed, in ways that I would like completely, but he has changed in ways where it's not, I'm not reverting back and, oh, you did this to me and I'm like this because of you, or, whatever, woo woo out the bam, right? But I do think that healing, and forgiveness and making peace with things, along with acceptance, does help with our relationship with the Most High God. I strongly do, because I'm a vengeful, person. I'm an angry person. I'm going to never forget what you did to me person, and it didn't do me any good in life at all. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still stuff that I'm working through. And from what I've learned, Miss Naz, you're older than me, right? It's people who are older than me, who tell me, Vaughn, you always gonna have some issues. You're not gonna, it's not a check off list, as I said, what I said has said to me. You know what I'm saying? And I truly struggle with the check off list. So what I'm saying to you, Mr. Lounge, is, maybe, we, instead of, because I know you're very intelligent, and I just got to keep it real and say, I feel like people who are, highly intelligent, and y'all seek knowledge and y'all want to, want to learn the ins and out of every little thing. I feel like, y'all kind of need to step back a little bit and, you know, pay more attention to be emotional and not, so you can
Hey,
be emotionally out of
hey, not,
control.
hey, not you saying that I need to revert to being a beta.
No, no, no,
Beta!
no, no. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real and say, do it in a way that you still, can, be who you are, but be who you are in a way that helps you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to convert you over to Christianity. Honest to God, I'm not. I'm really, really more so speaking about, mental and emotional health, because, you know, even though I haven't, done the things that you have done, and I'm gonna tell y'all the people that I feel are highly intelligent. Okay, I feel like you and Unspoken are highly intelligent people. I may not have went to college and did all this studying, but I am an overthinker, and I do want to know every little thing. But it serves me no good. You know what I'm saying? And when I've slowed down and stopped trying to, check everything off and dig, it helps a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know, no, don't be no beta male, but and I could be saying it wrong. Somebody else could say it to you in a way, that you can actually receive it better.
So So Von, so I understand everything that you're saying, and I appreciate you articulating in the way that you're doing it right now. I really do, I really do, and I'm not dismissing it or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But however, this still going with the concept of what we're now talking about free will. Okay, now to be honest and to be fair in this situation, right? God had designed it, people like me, and you mentioned UP as well too. God had designed people like me, UP, and other people as well too to be intelligent. There are people out there who are way more hyper intelligent than both of us combined, where they're on the level of being a genius. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the thing about it is that at the end of the day, God had designed us to be this way. Period. That's
Right.
something that we cannot turn off, even if we wanted to do that. We cannot turn it off. This is we see this as a blessing and as a curse at the very same time. It's a
Mhm.
blessing because we're blessed to want to be thirsty for this knowledge. We could attain this knowledge and we'll be able to articulate it the way we do, regardless of people agree with us or not. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
it's a curse at the same time because we understand the truth behind it as well too. Because when we seek it, we're gonna see other things that people is not gonna see. And when we present it to people, we have people who are just, let's keep it real. People are stuck in their way and they're trapped in the matrix. They want to be plugged in. It is what it is. And then on top of that, they'll push back against you, saying that how the way you're feeling, how the way you think, and how the way you articulate the things that you articulated is wrong. That's what they'll do. Now, there was a huge point in time where, not my father had passed away back in '99, but my mother was giving me a huge pushback on that because she was so religious into the way she was thinking. She was so convinced that the story that God had written in her life, it also applies to my life, and we need to follow that story, period, no matter what. So it caused division between us. It caused division between us. It at one point in time even caused for our relationship to dwindle down. Where it was at one point in time I didn't even communicate with my mom for almost like 2 or 3 years because of this matter. Because of the things that I went through dealing with this. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the choices that she made for me. Then when I became an adult, a man, and I started questioning it, it wasn't, hey, you need to just go and seek God out for yourself, that type of thing. No, in the past, it wasn't that at all. It was, no, this is God will. You need to follow his law, statutes, and judgment, period. And it was not only from her, but it was through, some of my siblings as well too. It was through my grandmother. It was through my grandfather. It was through my aunts and uncle. All of them had the same ideology. So at that point, I was considered as the black sheep of the family simply because I became awakened and I had a different perspective.
Mhm.
And so I dealt with that for years. Years of that, years of coming to family reunions where even at a family reunion, instead of us chilling and having barbecue and doing line dances like normally families would do, right? We have conversations about religion. And no conversation about religion is centered towards my current belief system about it and how the way I see it as.
Mhm.
And so it got to the point where I stopped doing that because I just didn't want to be a part of that at all, period. So to make a long story short, eventually, yeah, I did um for my peace purposes stuff, I did allow myself to forgive and let go and stuff, but I never changed who I was. I never
Mhm.
gave in to what they wanted me to be. Even when I attempted to do that, I felt like that I was out of place of doing it. I felt like that wasn't who I was. Now, throughout the time when I was doing that preaching and teaching and all that stuff there, I mean, I enjoy talking. I enjoy speaking like I'm doing right now. I enjoy doing it, but I felt I was out of place of doing it. I felt that that wasn't my purpose for me doing that. That wasn't my purpose for me being in a church and preaching and laying hands on people and exercising demons and doing all. I did all kind of stuff: preaching, teaching, anointing people with oil, casting out demons in real time, all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? In the
Mhm.
name of God. And while I was doing that, they was happy, yeah, doing all this stuff there. But the moment I stopped, then it became an issue.
I'm gonna say this, but then I got a question. So I I've been a black sheep in a different way, because although my family, were Baptist and all of that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
I was the black sheep in a different way because I was just different, okay, rebellious. I'm gonna say that. Um, I don't think that's okay. Um, because it does cause division and strife in a family, and I feel that people don't allow other people to have free will. Like, you can't love or be around your sibling or your parent, because they have different beliefs than you. I think it's wrong for people to take it to that extreme. I can understand, if you used to be an alcoholic and every time you go around the family they drinking, you don't want to be around that, but I also do feel that there should be a balance, when everybody get to drinking and partying too much, it's time to leave, but you still should be able to, hang around your family. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or just because you stop going to the club don't mean you just have to completely cut your friends off. Find balance and find other things for you and your friends to do together, or even just still check in on people. But some people take things to the extreme. Like you said, some people are strong believers, that demons latch on to you, and and don't get me wrong, y'all, sin is contagious, but I also have a strong belief that it's about self-control. You don't put yourself in situations, where you're gonna backslide. Know when it's time to go, know when not to go, you know what I'm saying, but still have that balance. But Mr.
Hmm.
Lounge, you said, we ain't never seen no demons, but you just said you was out casting out demons. So did you see, like, did you really believe that demons were being casted out, or was you just, playing church to please the
Well,
people?
well, I just like I stated earlier in the stream, I believe that the behavior or the manifestation of evil exists in people, and so what I was doing was literally casting out, or as you can say, I was reprogramming that person with this demonic energy. Okay, to
Mm-hmm.
where that type of energy converted from negative energy back to positive energy, if that makes any sense. Okay. Now
Okay.
there are other people who literally believe that there are demonic entities that attach to people. Okay. At one point in time, I also believe in that, where there are like demonic energy attached to people, and these type of energy or beings is what influence people to do the evil stuff that they do. You know what I'm saying? But now I see it differently. I see that all of it is just straight energy now. You know what I'm saying? It's negative energy or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, when I did it, that's a long story short. When I did it, yeah, I literally seen the manifestation of dark energy where I was anointing people with oil and that stuff that y'all see on TV and stuff where people was falling out of stuff. Part of that stuff is scripted. All right. Well, a lot of that stuff is unscripted. Like you see people like with what was the name, that Pastor Benny Hinn and all that stuff there, right? A lot of that stuff was scripted as
Mm-hmm.
hell. But there are other churches, right, like small ministries and stuff like that, where it literally be real for real, where you literally do be dealing with people with some screwed up behavior, and you literally do have that power to literally cast that energy out of that person. That person become a whole new creation, similar to when you went and got baptized, right? The moment after you got baptized, you know and you felt it in your heart that you this new creation, right? Then after
Mm-hmm.
you got baptized, you have received the Holy Spirit as well too. It's in that same instance where the moment when they went out of them, they start feeling like they a new person. If that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense.
Okay. It was something else I was gonna say. Um, I forgot what I was gonna say, but so I'm gonna say this. I do think it's pretty, dope of you, to have these conversations because they are needed. I do think that if you have faith in whatever, you should be able explain if you want to. Now I'm gonna say this.
Mm-hmm.
Lion disturbs my peace a lot. But I don't think he's dumb. I also think he's very, very, intelligent. He has his reasons, for believing what he believes and how he feels, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Um, I will say that, I don't necessarily subscribe to a whole bunch of religious, beliefs and things because I was never, perfect Patty. You know what I'm saying? Like I did, if you ask me, I did it all. Okay. It
Mm-hmm.
was under the sun because I wanted to, in some situations, I did not ask for it. You know what I'm saying? And how I look when it comes to my parents, I just look at it as, I'm 31 now. My sister and my brother, they're still in their 20s, they're entering their late 20s. And my thing with them is, we grown, we may have grew up this way or, they may have been this way or that way, but it's up to us, and I'm not saying that I just take God out of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I just take my power back. You know what I'm saying? Because, none of us asked to be here. And I know Lionel feels like, his whole existence is just some bullshit, and I can understand that. On the flip side, I look at it as, take your power back in whatever way you feel necessary. You know, if you need to go, cuss your parents out and get it out, do that. And I'm not just talking to you, Mr. I'm just speaking in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do whatever you need to do to get your power back, because although I have been baptized and I do profess, the love, and acceptance of Jesus Christ, I'm still, searching, not necessarily searching for a higher power, but truly getting to understand myself, recognize my demons, staying away from my demons that I've already recognized. I do agree with you that there is a beef inside of us. For me, my beef isn't with God. It's really, for me, it's the enemy. Whether it's the enemy in myself, the enemy, like the energies and entities around me. You know what I'm saying? Um, are there things? So I'm gonna just, be transparent since you've been transparent. You know, I would like to, have a place or a purpose, you know, in the kingdom of God here on earth, whether it's, evangelizing or, mental health, you know, unlike you, I haven't pursued either because my demons and my past choices tell me that I'm not good enough. You know what I'm saying? And I'm only sharing this with you because, you talked about, you would like wealth and you feel like, that you should have it by now or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
For me, you know, I just hope that, when I do close my eyes, that I have obtained something that I truly wanted in this life, for myself. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily for my children or my husband or my family, but just for me. And, if you, truly desire that, Mr. Lounge, I do believe that you will be blessed with it, and I also just want to say to you, and then I'm gonna hop down that, I think you should, dive a little deeper, and talk to, the good Lord and, ask him what is it, that you can do to, receive what it is that you're looking for. Because um I don't I'm like I said, I don't believe he's a genie, but even if we don't obtain everything that we really want for ourselves, at least, he allows us to have some type of peace with it, before we, leave this world. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So I know Lionel. He's eager to respond to you as well too. But before Lionel responds, let me give you a response. On the first part of you speaking about Lionel. All right. So the first part is this. People got to be aware, especially on YouTube, social media, and stuff. Right. You got to be aware of this. You got to be aware that there are a lot more other people who have the same type of characteristics as Lionel. Okay. The people out there who have the same characteristics as Lionel, they're not evil, they're not demonic or anything like that. They have sure a certain point of their life where they question the whole concept of our God due to them literally having the short end of the stick. They have every right to feel this way. And so that's why I never dismiss anything that Lionel talk about. Now I could want to admit that, some of the things that Lionel say either be trolling, and I could also say that some of the other stuff that he say, he be dead serious about what he say. And I can honestly say that sometimes when he said it will even trigger me. Well, I'll be like, "Whoa, hold up, bro. No, kind of tripping on that one." But even then, I don't dismiss him at all. I don't dismiss him. I don't displace him. I don't say, well, since you don't think how the way I think or articulate the way I articulate, I don't
Hmm.
cast him aside. Because
Right.
to be honest with you, those of y'all who are religious, or those of y'all who say that you're Christ-like or follower of Christ, even Christ himself told you not to dismiss people like that. Period. Because it's part of your ministry. Period. You aren't supposed to be that way. But like I don't like it like even like either on this show. Matter of fact, I've seen it on my shows that happen, and I've seen it on your shows, Vance, and also on other people's shows as well too, where Lionel would say certain things right and it be triggering, thought provoking, triggering, same exact way how I am, right? But the only difference is that Lionel is way more blunt than I am. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But people will create this narrative about him where they'll literally dismiss him, and I don't like that. I believe that that is totally unfair. That they'll literally dismiss that dude like that, or people who have that similar ideology like him like that. And I think that's unfair. And I also believe that that's not part of your ministry. Especially if you're saying that you Christ like, you following God, following Christ, following the Most High God, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Second part to that, to the conversation. Now I understand the whole concept about uh, talking to God and believing in God and different things like that. And then you was even mentioned about you have a desire or evangelism or different things like that. You know what I'm saying? My only thing about that goes to what I was saying earlier is that if it's not part of God's will, as we say, or it's not part of God's story, guess what? That is not going to happen. No matter how much we desire it for it to happen, it is not going to happen. So if it's not in God's will for you to evangelize or to teach or preach whatever it is that you really want to do, right? Guess what? It's not going to happen. And on top of that, God is going to create, according to scripture, God's going to create what is known as stumbling blocks to prevent it from happening, no matter
Right.
what. And that's my issue. That's my beef with God. Is that if we truly got free will and we want to do things so we know it's going to be beneficial, why not just allow us to do it and just let the story write itself? Why not allow us to do it? But my beef is that he doesn't allow us to do it. He doesn't allow this situation to happen. He pick and choose who he wanted to happen for. You know what I'm saying? So once again, my beef with God, like I say, I don't hate God or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But my issue is that when it comes to the point of free will, when it comes to the point of seeking truth out and stuff, it's distorted because of the creator. Because the creator already made up his mind of how the way it needs to be. Like Lonnie, you go ahead and respond, bro.
I actually forgot what I was gonna say, man.
Well, then can I talk? Because I
You
guess I
said
want to respond.
Vaughn said something stupid, and I was gonna say something, but I need to let her talk. It was something stupid she said. Dang. Nah, y'all go ahead. I'll remember it.
Good, good. So, Mr. Lounge, that's why I said, I just hope that he gives, you know, everybody, who has desires that isn't in his will, some type of peace about it, including myself. Now, in response to this whole dismissing Lionel, I have every right to dismiss Lionel because Lionel is disrespectful. Okay, not only to God but to me. Okay,
I've never disrespected you.
even say, Vaughn said something I disagree with. Vaughn said something stupid. Now, Do I understand that Lionel is blunt? Absolutely. If it was a big problem for me, I wouldn't deal with him at all. Um, I personally feel that I ain't even got to say all that. If I felt that Lionel was demonic and evil and all this stuff, I wouldn't even give him the time of day. I enjoy Lionel. He gets on my nerves. Okay. So just like he gets to say I said something stupid, I can say he get on my nerves. I can say Lionel ain't talking to you. I can say Lionel, you Jesus and just go on mute. I can do it too, Mr. Lounge. Okay. So don't be trying to use Jesus against me, okay? Because I'm not Jesus, all right? I don't have his patience, okay? I don't have all of that, all right? And I don't want it when it come to Lionel. I'm gonna give
Now,
Lionel give
now to be fair, Vance, once again, that is part of your walk as being a Christian is to walk Christ-like. Okay,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
is the whole part of your
Like
assignment is for you to walk in similarity to what Jesus did. And see, that's one of the reasons why I have this disconnection with people who call themselves Christians, is because when it comes to them literally walking the walk and talking the talk, they always say, "Well, I'm not Jesus," but Jesus told you to be like him. Told you to be
so,
exactly like him, how the way he did.
so wait a minute. You want me to take abuse like Jesus did? Is that what
What
you
kind of shit?
saying? Because that's what I'm hearing.
I
And
mean, no, what she's saying, Lino, is fair. It's a fair assessment. Should you? Absolutely, because that's what Jesus did. His whole entire walking ministry is that he took persecution and everything. He did.
well, I'll say
And
this.
then on top of that, he also had command. He gave this commission to his disciples before he ascended. He said that you're going to be doing these works in greater things than me, meaning that not only you're going to transcend of being Christ-like, you should transcend to be beyond me as well too. While you do the work of the kingdom on here on this earth. So that's what you should be doing. You should be on that level of persecution and everything. But once again, that goes back to what I was talking about the story that some people they don't want to be a part of that story, but they end up being chosen to be a part of that story. Like on case of point, the disciples. The disciples didn't choose to be his disciples. They didn't choose that until Jesus walked one day and convinced them to be disciples. And they did it. They didn't know why they did it. I know why they did it is because God wrote it in the story for them to do it. He took away their free will and told them to do it, and they did it.
Well, my response to all of this is I'm not there yet, okay? And in the meantime, I'm gonna give Lionel what he gives to me.
What
Lion.
the hell do I give to you? That's what she said. Yo, why do y'all say that crap? Like, basically, if you just keep following on this path and whatnot, that you're going to get your rewards. When we know in life that that doesn't happen. If it's not written for you to happen, it won't happen. No matter how much you pray for somebody.
Mm. Well, I think it's all about your faith, and that particular person's faith.
A lot of y'all lack faith. That's why I know it don't happen. Not the way y'all think it will.
I mean, Lionel, yes, yes, Christians lack faith, and there are some who don't, and those who don't, get the
They scam
reward that they
people.
deserve.
Those
So,
that don't, they scam people.
who scams people? Who? Well, okay, wait, don't answer that because I know who you're talking about.
I'd say
What?
it's a lot. There's a long list of y'all.
But not everybody, though, Lionel. Not
I don't
every.
like that. Not everyone, when it's pretty much the ones that everyone is praying to or worshiping.
Real quick, y'all. Real quick, hold that thought. My bad. I meant to address this with what Speak said. Speak said this. He said, "Does it say in the Bible?" And he said he can't remember where it's at that children's sins are attributed to their parents or to a certain age, because they don't know any better. Now, the only scripture that I am familiar with in that concept is in the Old Testament where the sins of the father is contributed to the children and generations, right? But The only way that the curse would be lifted if that same child were to decide to follow God. They'll come up in a certain age of awareness and they decide to follow God. The evidence of this is in the book of Judges. Okay, in the book of Judges, there was many different kings that rose up right into power. These kings decided to either choose to follow the law, statutes, or judgments of the Most High God, or they choose to not follow the statutes or judgments of the Most High God. When they choose to follow the statutes and judgments of the Most High God, the Most High God had blessed them. He blessed his kingdom, and the kingdom was prosperous and different things like that. But when the next generation rose up and did the latter of that, that's when God had cursed them and cursed the kingdom and cursed their generation and different things like that. Okay. So right now, that's the only story that I can think of. I'm pretty sure it's in the Bible somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And I'll probably research it later. But y'all go ahead. Sorry.
That shit don't sound fair either. Y'all can't convince me dude is fair. Y'all best scriptures couldn't convince me he's a fair God.
Lord.
Urban had that pop out so quickly, and look how it sounded. Unfair. Everybody not gonna have a happy ending. I mean, no matter how much faith they have. Sometimes you're gonna die without getting the answers you want. You not just because you have faith in God don't mean you're gonna die with peace. Man,
I
you're gonna
mean,
get hit with a truck, you're gonna die in a flame, house gonna fall on you, cat
Lord.
gonna sneeze and give you some type of disease. I mean, the reality is God wrote it because dude is a masochist and he loves chaos. He shows you all these scenarios that are pure chaos.
hmm To also be fair in this particular conversation, um, y'all are aware of that there are people who literally died in their faith of believing that something different was going to happen, but it never happened. In that generation. Like case in point, we could focus on us as black people, right? Do you know that our ancestors was praying for so long that
Mm,
in their moment in their one generation that they was gonna be lifted out of slavery, that they was gonna be lifted out of the Jim Crow laws and different things like that, and they had the faith that it was going to happen, but it never happened in their generation,
how that worked
and
out.
it didn't happen until centuries or decades later or whatever, you know what I'm saying, for it to be the manifestation of that. But keep in mind, they kept praying that in their generation. They wanted to be free from that in that moment, but it never happened. They had to deal with all that. Same thing with the Holocaust, with the one Jews on. They was on praying in that particular time, in that particular generation, that they'll be free from Hitler's reign and the wars and different things like that. They got put in concentration camps. They was watching their kids being murdered, their wives, husband being murdered, and all kind of stuff, right? And it never happened. Their freedom never happened in that generation, but they kept praying and having faith and believing in God that it was going to happen, but it never happened in that particular generation. And the point that I'm making about that is that if it's not in the will of God for it to happen in that particular moment that they're praying about, then to be quite honest with you, I'm just being real about it. What's the point of having faith? What's the even point of having it if it's not in God's quote unquote will to happen in that moment? And what do y'all think?
Well,
I want to hear from the Holy Girl.
what? What you say, Lionel?
I want to hear from the Holy Girl. I want to hear what you got to say.
I am not a holy girl, but listen, I would say that okay, so I think I heard Lionel say that, people be having faith in God and, believing in God and they still end up burnt up in a fire, in their death or whatever. I feel that the enemy throws curveball in for people to lose faith, um, specifically, in the whole Holocaust and, people, being, praying to, being lifted up out of slavery. it didn't happen for them. And I'm gonna be honest and say I haven't done too much research, on things like that. But I will say for like people who are sick, or would they end up dying, their diseases, yeah, they I guess we can kind of throw in Job in there. Job never lost faith in God.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, he went through all this hell on earth, you know, that he wasn't necessarily deserving of, that's how the Bible tells us, right? But that person may have not lost faith, and for the let's say somebody is standing by, watching another person transition, and they're watching this person pray, pray, pray. It can go two ways. That person will say, well, such and such never lost faith in God. I saw them praying, and acknowledging God on their deathbed. Or, the enemy will come in and be like, well, such and such was doing all this praying, and they still ended up dead. But like like you said, is that that's what's written in the story. You know what I'm saying? And it's just all about how you look at it and what you take from it. And it can be a good thing or a bad thing. You can see this person praying, 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 and it can be an inspiration for you, or it can be something detrimental to you. No, the generation before wasn't lifted out of slavery, but here we are now free. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And we can accredit that to the prayers of our ancestors and how they had
What?
that. Like,
Really?
yes, Lionel, yes, that's what we can,
Get the hell out of here.
we can
Come
thank,
on.
you know, and we living now, and we're living now, and we can look at it as, never lose the faith. God gonna show up, maybe not in the way that I want him to, but for my children or my grandchildren.
That's not helping you.
But you can't say that that doesn't help me, Lionel,
It,
because
how does it help you? You're
it's,
still
but
you're
Lionel,
still,
go
go ahead.
ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead.
You're still on the boat, swimming in your poop. You're still on the boat, getting bent over by the white man. You still on the boat, getting the disease. You getting off the ship, and now guess what? You still praying, but what's happening? You getting whipped. White man bending you over still, taking your chick, taking your kid, taking your dignity, your pride, trying to crush your spirit. You still praying. You die. Hey, but guess what? 80 generations later, man, nigga, we made it. How the hell is that helping you?
Well, because it's not, and I know this gonna sound crazy, but I just have to say it. It's our lives is not all just about us. It's about other people and our influence and impact on other people. So yes, 80 years later, we gonna talk about, and maybe my timeline is wrong. Y'all correct me if I'm
You're
wrong.
fine.
We gonna bring up, I don't know if Harriet Tubman was praying or not. I don't know, but we're gonna bring up her, and we're gonna use her strength and her faith and how she lived her life, and um um what's the word I'm looking for? We gonna use all of that now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it sounds stupid, but it's also very logical.
I'm glad you hear how it sounds.
I'm just saying, you don't. I, look, Lionel, Mr. Lounge, everybody, we can fight against, the Most High all we want, but are we going to win? And that's just all it is for me. Now, I'm not saying it like,
But wait. What you just said right there. We can fight all we want, but
mhm,
essentially, what's it going to amount to? Can we win? Doesn't that prove we don't have free will? Because at the
no,
end, no matter what you do, it's inevitable. It's a
no,
random.
because I mean, you can. We have the freedom to go against him, but can you really?
It,
Freedom doesn't equal whatchamacallit. It doesn't
it,
mean it does not mean you're going to conquer. Okay, that
is it really freedom though? When he
no,
already liked the drama.
Is it freedom if he likes the drama? I personally don't believe he likes drama. I
Stop
just
it. Stop it.
I just gotta keep it real.
This
I
dude, that
mean,
whole Bible is the Real Housewives of Atlanta or some crap. That
no,
whole Bible is literally drama.
I'm gonna say this. Does he have a sense of humor? Absolutely. Um does he have a sense of humor? Yes. But I don't believe that. And why don't I believe that? Because he
Which
can't.
part don't you believe again?
I don't believe that he's the person, who's causing the confusion. I don't believe that.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
So, real quick on Von Son, why do you believe that God is not the author of confusion, besides of what you um read in the Bible and what people tell you?
Wait, ask me one more. I heard you, but ask me it again.
Um, why do you believe that God is not the author of confusion, besides of what you read in the Bible and what people told you?
Because confusion is darkness. And I
Huh?
confusion. Okay, so how I look at it is it's all fun and games until it everything that you build, comes crashing down on you. That's why I believe that that's the enemy. That's the devil. Okay? Because it's like, yeah, you have okay, so I'm a just throw an example out there. You like sex, right? I'm gonna make you a porn star. You're gonna make all this money, you
Mm,
know, you're gonna get exactly all the attention that you want,
I don't want the attention.
when you by yourself, or even when you're around other people who are successful in life because of their intellect instead of their bodies, because in life, somebody who comes up a certain type of way, there's always somebody better, right? When you get around these other people, women, or men, who have some type of self-respect or dignity, you're gonna feel some type of way. Or you may be chilling by yourself and you wondering why, you don't feel this, and you don't feel well, you feel a void or something like that. I'm gonna reward you until you realize, and I'm hoping that you're not gonna realize that none of this is good. That I've actually set you up, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You know, when you realize that there's actually something better for you.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me cut you off on the who's setting this person up. You saying that God is setting them up for failure?
No, the enemy. Okay, the devil, Lucifer, Satan. Okay,
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
the
go ahead.
other lower God, right? You know, I didn't when you realize that there's something better for you, now I'm gonna fuck with you and make you feel like, well, you can't do that because you did all of this. And you're not worth that because you did all of this. But God is gonna say, I don't care what you did, you can still have all of these things over here. I'm gonna give you, your confidence back. I'm gonna restore, your self-worth. I'm gonna, even restore your reputation, because I've seen God do that for some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just do not believe that God is sitting back like, oh, I'm gonna set this up, I'm gonna set that up and watch you drown, and then I'm gonna hold my no, that's not him. That's his opposition. That's the person that's working against him and want people not to like him. You know what I'm saying? Or even go back to him. So if the devil can manipulate us into, believing that God is the author of confusion because he created me and I turned against him, I then shit, there you have it. That this is why, some of us have the mindsets that we have, and others have different kinds of mindsets because of the enemy. He wants us to detest God. He wants us to feel some type of way towards him because he is the creator of all. And he could have just smited me, and wipe me out. And when I say me, I'm talking about, Lucifer. But he didn't. He allows me to fuck with y'all because he really does. Once you and I'm gonna keep it real and say I actually learned that recently, Mr. Lounge. I told my
Mm-hmm.
mother I thought that was just Joe, but no. If I am, doing things that are against God, whether I don't think it's wrong or not, He is going to allow the enemy to come in and reward me and wreak havoc when need be. Because well, if you're against me, how can I protect you? If you're against me, how can you be on my side? No, you want to be over there with that mess. So I'm going to let you be over there with that mess. And when you're ready to come back home, the door is open.
But what about the people that's already there, full in faith, and shit still happens?
That is the trick and trap of the enemy, Lionel.
Nah, because now this creates confusion. Because if God's sitting here if a dude's sitting here asking God, why did you let this happen to me?
Mm-hmm.
But he don't get no answer. Now he's confused. Sound like he's creating darkness based off your
Okay.
definition.
Real quick, Vons, before you respond to that, shout out to everyone who's in the building again. Appreciate y'all tuning in the stream. Make sure you hit the one thumbs up because it do support the channel as well too. I also had dropped the link again. We are approaching almost in the 3 hour mark of the stream. Now, if you want to participate in this conversation, by all means, you can click on the link and you'll be part of the conversation. All right. I say a welcome and salute each and every last one of y'all who are either watching in the bushes or you're catching the replay of the stream. Go ahead, Vance.
I forgot what I was responding to,
Y'all need
but
to remember. Y'all need to remember what y'all was saying. All right.
I'm
no.
multitasking though.
I'm saying that if okay, so if somebody is going to God and they're asking, why did you allow this to happen to me? And this may sound insensitive, but this is really how I view things, y'all. That person who's done something evil to another person had the free will and choice, and audacity to do what they have done, and we can look at it, as well, why me, and soak and stay in that, or we can recognize God for who He is and know that He, if we haven't sinned against Him and we're not against Him, that He's gonna have our back and send the block on that
Right.
person.
Vaughn's.
What?
11-year-old boy, fully in the church, prays every day. Anything you could ask the dude for worship, doing it. Just trying to go home, give his mom some flowers for Mother's Day. He gets ambushed and raped by 5 boys. Next thing you know, he's sitting here trying to ask God, why did this happen to me? What are you supposed to be telling him?
Wait, say that again.
All
Urban, your
right,
people.
Vance. Long story short, you have a 11-year-old boy who's devoted into the faith. He go to church every day. He's doing everything right according towards the will of God. One day he was at the right place at the right time, and he ended up being raped by other men, or probably even a woman, or men and women. It don't matter.
Five men.
So by that happening to this boy who was part of the faith, and he did everything right in the faith, he was doing what he was supposed to do, how would you be able to articulate to this boy that everything happened for a reason and a purpose, and there still is a purpose and a will in this life?
Good question. So I'm gonna answer honestly. I probably would not be the best person to, because
Now,
yeah.
now, also keep in mind, we're still talking about the concept of God being the author and finisher of everything, right? God is telling the story. Let's say in the same scenario, right, that God had written you in the story for you to cross path with this young man at this perfect moment, at this perfect time that He's written.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
um I'm gonna be honest and say I don't know exactly what I would say. I don't, because I haven't had that experience. But I would definitely understand that the enemy has a huge part in this. This he wants this young boy to lose his faith and his purpose in life and his spot in the kingdom of God. Like that's what I know right off the bat, because it's like, you know, kind of like Job, he, that's what the devil wanted. It was like, I didn't been everywhere, hey, and God was like, yo, try this person. I it's all about trying to get people to turn against
You know,
God.
Vines, you have a habit of telling me everybody's different. You keep using Job as an example. Everybody ain't Job.
Because
This little boy different.
when it comes to faith, I just gotta be honest. I'm still, reading, learning, and paying not attention to certain things, in the Bible. But Job had a lot of faith. Okay. And then you have the man who never did anything wrong against God, and he was um, you know, he never died, right? So I just have to, and then um for
But you
in my
said he's not the God of confusion. This little boy is absolutely confused.
that's not God though, Lionel. That's the enemy.
God wrote this.
And the person who has, hurt this young man, hey, he had a choice too. He could have left that little boy alone, but he didn't.
I said it was 5 men.
All five of them men could have left that little boy alone, but they didn't.
Nah, God wrote that. Little boy had it coming, apparently. That's the way God's story was.
Who Nowhere in the Bible does it say that.
This is God's plan.
I'm gonna say yes, it is a part of his plan because he
I'm aware. And
hold
right now, this little boy is confused.
So
okay, so he
so Vons, let me help you out with this scenario, all right? Because I
mhm.
know that this is a very, very tough scenario to deal with, and it's gonna be tough for you to articulate it. All right. So this is what I would do in that scenario. All right. My whole role in this scenario is to at least convince that young boy that it's beauty behind the madness. Okay. It may sound bad, it may sound horrific, but that will be my whole beginning role as a side character in the story, to tell him that it's beauty behind the madness. Now, how do I convince him to do that? I will articulate to the best of my ability, explaining that, hey, there's hope, and I'll start building hope for this young man, even if he receive it or not, even if he say that, nah, that's some bull crap, you're full of it, whatever. It's the whole point that I'm at least telling them that there's some type of hope behind it. You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't lose faith, or you shouldn't waver, a different thing like that. Another part, and this goes to where a lot of y'all women say, where you have to be gentle, because I believe that there is a time and a place. There's a time and a place for you to be gentle with people. There's a time and place for you to be the straight out bold and honest and tell them the truth. In the beginning stage of that situation, I believe in that situation, that's a time for you to be more gentle with it and stuff, and understanding with that situation, to build that character or hope, to at least get that boy to understand that even though it was messed up, even though it's messed up for you to be part of the story, there's some type of silver lining behind that, regardless if you believe in it or not. Then later on down the line, when he end up meeting another side character in the future, where he's kind of dealing with this, he's making certain choices, decisions in his life, whether we agree with it or not, right? Um, there's going to be another side character that's going to come into the story that's going to be just straight blunt and honest with it. Like, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And you need to shut the hell up and deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Then there's going to be another side character along the storyline where they may have the similar ideology as Lionel, because for the simple fact that he has dealt with the same situation exactly to the T. I'm not saying that it's happening, Lionel, but I'm just saying that
Gotcha.
there'll be a character that dealt with that situation, so they know exactly what that person is going through, and then they be able to articulate it in that way where it will help that person to cope through that. Okay. So that's how I would tackle that situation. Now I know that at the end of the day that we're human, we don't have the answers and stuff, and it's okay to say that you don't have the answer to that. Even if that person were to cross your path and they begin to explain this to you, you can honestly tell like, "Hey, look, I don't have the answer to that at the moment. I honestly do not know. I don't have the answer to that. I don't." I'm not gonna sit up here and preach to you or none of that stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you and tell you I don't have the answer for you, but I sympathize and empathize with you. That would go a long way versus trying to be religious with a person and telling them that they need to go fast and pray, seeking God, and get into a church, get counseling, and all this other crazy stuff that religious people tend to do to people like that. What do y'all think?
This is why they say fathers are better parents. Irvin killed that.
Mr. Lounge, I like your response. And I just gotta keep it real and say I have learned and I strongly believe not saying what I would do in this situation because stuff like that has happened to me a lot, where I'm like, oh, this is what I would do or I would never. And the total opposite would happen. So that's why, like I just don't have an answer because I don't truly know what I would do in a situation like that.
Right.
However,
And it's good for you to actually articulate that, what I'm saying, in that moment, like, hey, I don't know. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with it.
Um I do like your response, to the young man, because we don't want him to lose faith and we don't want, but at the same time, we don't want to bombard him with all this religious stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I respect your outlook on it. I actually respect your outlook on it on a whole lot. That gives me wisdom,
Here-
just because it's
Here's
happened.
another thing that I want y'all to consider. Not only you, Vance, but everybody who's watching right now. I want y'all to consider this too. This is the reason why that it is what is known as spiritual abuse in the church right now. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, in the same scenario, right, that you literally religify this boy, telling him that he need to get back in the church and all this stuff there, knowing good and well he done had this traumatic experience. And guess what? He ended up getting into the church, back into the church, and he ended up um, indirectly or directly open himself up to this pastor, right? This pastor had the same behavior where he liked little boys. And so
Mm.
now he see that this dude has had that experience, right? And guess what that pastor going to do? That pastor is going to manipulate that boy into saying that everything is okay, and he's going to groom that little boy into this. This is exactly what Bishop Eddie Long did with them little boys at his church when he was living.
And you
That's
know
the way
it's
he
the
did it.
women that be feeding these little boys that bull crap.
Hmm. And so that's why I say it's you have to be more strategic in the matter. You know what I'm saying?
You know women can't be strategic like that. How many women you know that could say what you said just like that?
Plenty of
Not
line.
either. That's a damn lie. You
See,
know that's a lie.
here I'm gonna say this. Here's what I don't respect, Lionel. Say that women don't know how to be gentle, or just because I'm saying I don't know, or another woman on the panel, isn't giving you the response that you think should be given.
Oh no,
Because
I'll be in real life, Vaughn. I'll be in
in
real life.
reality, in a situation like that, we don't know what we will say. I can give y'all the total, Mr. Lyons give us the total right answer. But in the moment that it's actually happening, he may not have anything to say at all because he's so shocked and taken back by what's being presented to him.
No, he wouldn't be shocked.
Or
His mentality. That's
or
most women though.
wait, Lionel, or he could say everything that he said, that he's gonna say to the young man, and that still, doesn't go right. You know what I'm saying? So how I look at it is, you can't say that about women,
Yes,
okay?
I can. I just did.
Whatever, because all these, because it's men out here, like Mr. Lounge just said, that are predators, and they could say all the right things and still,
They normally do.
more. What?
They
Let
they
me.
normally do. They normally do say all the right things. It's just their intentions are different.
Now that is true. I can agree with you on that. Because some people can say all the right things, but
It's normally not women though. That's what I'm saying.
lies. Okay. Men do it too. I love you. I'll be here for you. You can call on me for anything. Call on the man for anything. And oh, you ain't got nobody else to call, and I'm your last resort. And oh, well, let me see what I can do. That
My
ain't what,
man.
sir.
Sound like he's saying all the right things to me.
You know what? I'm not gonna play with you. I'm just not. I'm just not.
But my point about all of that was there was confusion there. If God is overseeing anything, that little boy shouldn't have had any type of confusion. The end you because of the fact that you're saying it's the enemy, it implies he has no power over the enemy.
Well, no, because
And I'm
there
saying that's what you're implying. I didn't say that's what you said.
you listen. Some of the greatest people that have ever walked this earth, okay, and I'm not talking about in the spirit, I'm talking about, as far as success and things like that, have had some really, because I don't know what their spirits is really, doing, but they have had, so we're going to use Oprah as an example. Oprah, I can't remember if she was sexually assaulted or if she willingly got pregnant at 13. If you ask me, it don't matter, because at the end of the day, okay, instead of allowing that situation to hold her back and keep her, feeling a certain type of way about herself, she's a billionaire, okay, and she is an inspiration to other women.
That might not be the best example you can use considering the allegations that are against her about selling little kids right now.
Can't believe rumors and lies, Lionel,
I
okay?
love how y'all don't want to believe it just because she comes off as an inspiration.
So
Hey, real quick, Vaughn. To be
I'm
fair,
gonna agree with you on
hey,
that.
hey,
I'm
hey,
gonna agree.
Vance, real quick. To be fair, right? This is the reason why a lot of people don't believe that Beyonce is a witch, but she literally is practicing ancient witchcraft through our African ancestors, and her and Jay-Z literally admitted that's part of their religious belief system, but people don't want to accept it because they love Beyonce. Same thing with Oprah.
I love Beyonce, and it makes me sick to my stomach that I promised my mother I wouldn't go to her concerts. However, okay,
No, however,
um, I'm just gonna have to agree with y'all. But at the end of the day, okay, um, you don't allow. See, I don't like this anymore because we're moving away from religion. I mean, not
no.
religion,
What do you
but
mean? It's still spirituality,
in religion we're moving away from it.
but this actually happens in religion.
Okay, so who would y'all rather be a better example that I can give y'all?
So, Vance.
Okay,
Yeah, why
for
not
you,
Vaughns?
fine. Okay, I have committed some very detrimental sins to my soul, right?
That's why she got saved.
Shut up, Lionel. um, I no longer live in condemnation. I don't, but I am building my faith because I recognize, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. This was actually a recent revelation. Okay, we gonna say maybe 2-3 nights ago that I do need faith, and I need faith to get me further, than just not living in condemnation. So although I've been set free, of my own hell, I still have work to do. And I can't allow, my insecurities and the stumbling blocks to get in the way of that. I may be striving for a specific thing, you know what I'm saying? And I may never obtain that specific thing, right? And if you ask me, it all depends on my faith, right?
Hmm.
And what God truly wants for me, because I can want something that He really don't want for me, or you know what I'm saying? It's just not in my deck of cards.
Don't sound like free will to me.
Oh Jesus! But if I, um, not have, the spirit of, if I allow fear to rule my life, I will, me being set free will be the greatest thing ever in life for me. And that's it. That's it. She no longer lives in condemnation, but she didn't believe, she didn't have faith, that there was more in her story, is what I'm saying.
Hey, Vance, real quick, could you explain about the concept about condemnation? What do that mean for those who don't understand it?
Yeah,
So
I'm into this.
just the lounge. Okay, I got to give y'all a really good example without telling on myself. So let's say I used to boost and steal, and I was all about getting money, but it was all fun and games until it all came falling down on me. And now, I'm ashamed and I'm, beating myself up all the time. And now I ain't got no money. I done lost all my confidence. I done lost all, understanding in life. I have no desire to get up off my ass and do anything. You know, um, that's living in condemnation. Like it's like you're being tormented. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? You 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 can't see the light because it's just so dark. You damn near give up. And in some cases, you really do give up. You may not, actually take the gun to your head and clock out, but you literally just give up on life. Like everything about you changes. You're negative. You don't want to get out the bed. You don't
Hmm.
want to do anything. You just give up, and, God comes, well, you call on God, you repent, for your wicked ways that got you, in this mental, the devil no longer has what they call it, a stronghold over you. And you just kind of get rescued, by God. You acknowledge, okay, I was wrong for, robbing, stealing, and killing to get this money. You know what I'm saying? I was, wrong for having a mansion built on, blood money or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Lord, I'll never do it again. That right there gives the devil has to let you go because, you're being accountable. You're confessing your sins, to the Most High God, letting Him know, like, I shouldn't have done that and I was wrong. You know,
Yep.
even though it made me happy or I felt good or I was out here flossing and flashing, you know, I'm sorry and I want to do right.
Yep. So Vance, you explained very well about what does condemnation mean to you, and I appreciate that. Could you explain to everyone how did you overcome that? What was the process that you went through to overcome, this condemnation that you're talking about?
Well, honestly, I had to forgive myself first. Um, I definitely had to forgive myself first and admit that I took things into my own hands and I was blatantly disrespectful to God and
Bonds, how evil was you?
evil child. I mean, woof.
God dang.
But um,
Hey, Lionel, she was in her villain arc.
yeah,
Apparently, for like a decade.
I had to, forgive myself for no, because I did know better, and I was disobedient and disobedient, disrespectful, um unforgiving, trying to take control of something. But what I really was doing more harm to myself, trying to be big dog and, prove that, I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying? I did all these things that really was doing more harm to me, you know, but it was all fun and game. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it was fun. I was doing my shit. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. It was everything until, and I was rewarded. I was absolutely rewarded, but the devil came to collect. And when he wanted me, it was like, okay, I want you now. You know, I need you over here with me. I couldn't handle it because it was too dark. It was too dark. So I forgave myself first. I confessed my sin. And that's really how I did it. And I just not only promised myself and God, that I wouldn't, find myself in that situation again. You know, I just was like, I'm not, no, it looks fun. It looks like freedom. It looks like everything, but it's really darkness, you know? So that's what my baptism was about. I can't speak for everybody, but baby, I was set free because I was truly living in condemnation where I lost my self-worth and my self-esteem. And, I was down for anything and everything, not being, who God created me to be, operating in my lower self. And I'm not saying, that I'm just perfect now, but never again will I allow my pride and vengeance to get the best of me because it literally almost killed me, y'all.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Once again, I appreciate you sharing that with the audience and everyone, including with Lionel as well too. I appreciate that because I believe that's something that people do need to hear so they can get an understanding of it. But at the same time, that goes back to the original conversation about us having beef with God and us explaining that God literally is writing a story in our life because everything you said is that hey, it was according to God's will, for things to happen in your life. It wasn't by choice. It was literally because of this was the will of God for you to go through all that. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that God literally wrote that particular story, that particular episode of your life for you to deal with that all the way up to the point of where you're at right now?
Yes, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I didn't even know y'all how blessed I was and how God literally tried to come in and stop me. And I spit in his face and was like, yeah, I'm gonna do me. Okay.
Shaking my head.
Yeah. So yes, I do believe that, he showed up. Now, this isn't for everybody. I'm just telling y'all, and one day I will tell y'all my story in detail. Some of y'all gonna hate me forever, but I don't care. Jesus loves me. But listen, um, he really did, try to stop me from going through what I went through. But like I said, I spit in his face, gave him my ass a kiss. He was still trying to, come in and grab me, and I said no. And then it wasn't until I had completely turned my back against him, and I even felt like he turned his on me, not necessarily. Well, no, 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 that's the truth. I felt the wrath of God. You know what I'm saying? He allowed me to make the decisions that I made. He allowed the devil to, be my God, and I serve him and all of this and that. And I chose to, kick it with the devil. So he let me. So yes, I do. Yeah, absolutely. It was all the will of him, and the choice in the end was, are you going to give your life to the devil or are you going to give your life to me? And I chose God again, because the devil
Right.
ain't fine when he really got you. I just want to say that.
So I said what I said. She said that some people are strong enough to live with their trauma and find something that helps them get through life. Then she continued by saying condemnation is the state of being judged or separated from God's grace due to your wrongdoings. And finally, she said this: I bet Vaughn, with your little bad ass, thank God you change.
Amen, sis. Hey, Miss Fancy Girl. Hey.
Interesting.
Yo, so Lionel, what do you think about that? What do you think about Vaughn's explanation about condemnation and about how God literally wrote this story or wrote this side story to change her life?
I think Vaughn's is still evil, honestly. She's just holding it in at this point.
What? Go ahead, Lionel. I'm a hush. I'm a
Just saying, I think Vaughn's is still evil. I don't think something drastic enough change was happened to change her completely. I think it's just holding itself in. She's just looking for other mediums to let that chaos out. But right now is just controlled chaos, not the outright chaos she was embroiled in.
You know what? I'm going to agree with that because when I do have those moments where I need to and I'm not, no, I have to be honest. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie with y'all. I'm struggling with this whole lying thing. See, in Bible on Sunday school, I was called to read the question, why won't liars inherit the kingdom of God? And I was too tickled. I made everybody laugh. But listen, yes, when I have those moments, where evil is present within me. Um, yes, yeah, it is very controlled. It's more like, okay, Lord, I'm tempted, you know, yeah. But because the thing is, the Bible says that none of us are good, okay, and we all, have. I'm gonna use unspoken word duality, right? And some things will never leave you.
Were we not created in God's image though? And I
No,
thought that was
no,
good.
we are, but I'm not finished. Some things will never leave you, but it's up to you to keep it under wraps. You know what I'm saying? And when I say under wraps, give it to God. Go to God when you tempted and you want to do horrible things. You know, go to Him. First immediately, because it is the enemy trying to come in and have his way with you again, and you don't want that. So it's not that Christians, I'm gonna say the saints, it's not that the saints just live their lives no longer with evil inside of them. you know we just find a way not to entertain it, or even let it loose. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just gotta be on. Yeah, I have to agree with that, because I was kind of upset.
Yeah,
Like, a
yeah.
minute, I'm
So
having these feelings, but no, we're human. And it's up to us, to make sure that we just ain't out here wild. You know what I'm
yep.
saying?
Yeah, so that's why I don't consider myself as being good nor evil. You know what I mean? I'm just a being that was created by this higher being to have these type of emotions. I'm capable of being good just as well as I'm capable of being evil. I'm capable of being neutral as well too. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it is this coming to the whole solution of the matter. By the way, y'all, appreciate y'all pulling up on the panel, and appreciate everybody who watching the stream. But this comes to the conclusion of the matter that
Oh wait,
came.
Urban, hold on,
Go
because
go ahead.
before you get to that conclusion, Vons, do you purposefully think evil thoughts? Are those thoughts you just generate on your own because you want to generate those evil thoughts?
No, I will say, okay, so for me, a lot of things show up in my dreams. I could go the entire day without, and I'm speaking on something specific, but I'm not going to tell y'all what
You're
it is.
good. You're good.
Um, I can go the whole day without having this one particular thought, or even, about a particular person, but they will show up in my dreams. That scares the hell out of me, because it's like, in my waking life, if I haven't, had this thought or this feeling or emotion, or I haven't thought about this person, whether they're a good person, whether they were good to me or bad, whatever. Why are you showing up in my dreams? Um,
So yet you have these thoughts that are showing up that
yeah.
you're not forcing. Hence, where is your freedom of will if the
See,
sheer thoughts are literally coming at you and
mhm.
it's not of your own will?
See, the research that I've done on it, Lionel, is that when we're asleep, is that we're most vulnerable in the spiritual realm. So I could be making a conscious decision throughout the day not to entertain something, but it'll show up in my dreams because that's when I, from what I understand, that's when our guard is down spiritually. It's open to everything, right? Um, I will say, even I'm not completely powerless in my dreams though. Like in my dream, I'll be like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to, like y'all. I literally had a dream after my baptism. I want to say, um, that Monday night, Sunday night going into Monday, where I was tempted to do something, and I said, but the enemy was telling me, well, you can be baptized again, you can be saved again, God will accept you. Like I promise y'all, this happened to me. And I
Damn,
was,
me doubting you.
but wait, Lionel, for a second, I was like, oh yeah, God will forgive me. And then I said, no, I'm not doing it. No, I don't, no. So I find that interesting because yes, I've still had dreams, where I am in my dream world, not falling into temptation. I'm resisting the devil. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird because it's like, man, I gotta be on guard at all times, even in my sleep. But yes, you do, because the in the spiritual realm, it's a constant war. That demons don't sleep, and neither does God. So we I understand y'all frustration. I'm just gonna say that.
Go ahead, Irvin.
Well, once again, appreciate everyone who tuned into the stream. Those of y'all who are coming in right now, make sure you hit the one thumbs up because it helped this channel out a whole lot. Those of y'all who are catching the replays, same thing. Make sure you hit the thumbs up because it helped the stream out a whole lot. We've been talking all day about why I say that I have beef with God. Then also we've been having a conversation about free will, about choices, even about faith. And challenging, is faith real or faith is illusion, every all kind of stuff that we've been talking about, all right. So this is the conclusion of the matter that I came up with, so it could help me with my sanity purposes, so I won't end up becoming insane about this crazy crap, all right. So the conclusion that I came up with is this. I um I came up with the conclusion that at the end of the day, um, if we do believe in a God, which I do believe in a God, I do believe in the Most High God. I came up with the conclusion that at the end of the day, this is God's story of my life. This is His book that He's writing of my life. All I am is just a unwilling participant of it. Okay, is what it is. Every choices, every decision that I think that I'm making, in reality, I'm really not making because God is writing it down that I'm doing it. So at the end of the day, for my sanity purposes, I just accept it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't have free will. I don't have control. I don't control things that I do, even though I would love to believe in that. And believe me, I will. There'll be times where I still will hold on to that, as y'all say, faith. I will hold on to that for my sanity purposes. You know what I'm saying? Just so I can exist or have some sense of control. But in reality, I just accepted today. This is what it is. God controls my life. It is what it is. End of story, point blank. That's why I was telling y'all that I don't fear death, because I already know that death is a part of the story that's been written for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't fear it, nor I don't fear God. It's because that's been written in the story for me not to fear God. Now, other people, other characters in the story, they fear God with fear and trembling and everything, but I don't, because in my story, I don't. I don't fear God. Now, do I reverence Him and respect Him? Yeah, because that's part of the story. They really, for me, is for me to be that way, for me to reverence and respect. You know what I mean? So that is my conclusion of the matter. One, what say y'all? What would y'all think?
Well, I guess I'll go. Now, go ahead, Lionel. Go ahead.
Pawns is funny. Girl need to be hosted and never mind. So, I mean, I'm with you, Urban. I'm definitely with you on that. I have nothing to say against that because with your belief, the reality is that's what's essentially happened. That is God's plan. What has happened in your life, He has trolled the hell out of you because God loves trolling us. Dude is like a baby in a sandbox, just playing around. And I'm sorry that y'all got to go through that crap. It is what it is. I love your dedication, your devotion. Keep on, man. Same with you, Vaughns. You on the whole journey. Urban giving you tips. You should be listening to them. But keep on. You on the right path. You on God's path. Sounds like you didn't have a choice.
What? I ain't got much to say, Mr. Lounge, other than um I will be praying for your restoration, if I said that word right, in faith in God.
You
Not
said
saying you
you
don't have,
said restoration.
yes, restoration. There we go. Um, Not saying you don't have any, I don't, I'm gonna keep it real and say, I don't have a super duper strong deep faith. I do desire to have it. But that spirit of fear, is a stronghold, and devil, get behind me. Okay, let me go. But I desire to have a strong faith in God, like I've seen many women and men before me have. And I just don't want to be in no situation, where I'm literally in the place that I was, mentally and emotionally. Um, I never thought that God would show up and save me. Never even really understood that I could be in a position like that. I kind of looked at it as, you know, just unreal. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see people, oh, God did this and God did, it's like, really, did he? But now I have a better understanding of where they were coming from. And, I just want to be good with the man. I tried beefing with him and I didn't win. You know what I'm saying? I got whooped up good. All right. But that's all I got.
Sounds
You
like you didn't know how to fight.
No, I did. Believe me when I did, but I will say, Lionel, I had a choice in the end, and it was to, give in to the devil or give in to him. And I'm gonna say this: if I would have gave in to him, I don't think that y'all would be talking to me right now. And I do literally mean, mentally or physically. My children wouldn't have, their mother. My mother wouldn't have her daughter. My husband wouldn't have, his wife. I just would not be able to sit here and have this conversation with y'all because I was literally crashing out.
Hmm.
And and I thank God for, showing me the light. You know, it's not, I think I said this in one of my lives, like all I wanted was a little money, and not saying that I was literally stealing and boosting y'all. Honest to God, no. But I thought joy and peace was about money
It
and
is.
status
Yeah.
and vanity,
Hell yeah.
what everything looks like. But he's shown me all of that didn't change anything in my
Damn.
life.
You
You
ain't
know,
used it the right way.
shut up, Lionel. He didn't change anything in my current life. And he actually showed me that it's about what's on the inside of you. And, you being a decent person and having the fruits of the spirit and not giving in to the flesh, that will truly give you that joy and peace that, you're looking for. So I thank him for that, and I ain't got no beef with him no more. I ain't gonna try that again.
So I want to direct you to the story in the Bible. Vance, you may be unfamiliar with this. Like he may be familiar with too if you read the Bible. But the Apostle Paul, he was I believe he was talking about this in the book of Romans. He was saying about the thorn in his flesh, right? And this whole narrative was talking about his calamity that he was having with dealing with his spiritual man versus his flesh. All right. He was saying everything that his flesh is weak and stuff, and his flesh did do all kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, he had came up with the conclusion of the matter for him. He had said that on grace is sufficient. You know what I'm saying? Now, I believe the reason why he came to that conclusion is because he came to a realization that, hey, he have a spiritual man and he have a fleshy man, you know what I'm saying, that he deal with. And also, I believe that he came to that conclusion that he know that he the support of the story that God had written in his life. It is what it is. He know that his character or who he is, God written that in the story. Like even right now, even with me. Um I wish everything in me that this cross, this burden that I have for me to be the way that I am, every fiber in me wish that I don't think away or perceive it the way I do. I really do. Even this whole concept about me beefing with God and stuff, I wish I didn't even think about this at all. I really do. But at the end of the day, I know this is a part of the story. This is part of the story that he wrote in my life. And I have no other choice but to accept it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? I have no other choice to accept who I am for what it is, regardless of people agree with it or not or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so even with that, dealing with people and stuff, people who are different from you and stuff. God written the story for everybody to be a certain type of way, period. No matter their life stance, no matter their sexual orientation, none of all of that. You know what I'm saying? He made people to be the way that they are, period. And this, to be honest with you, you can either accept it for what it is or not, or it may be part of the story for you to be that way, to not accept them for what it is. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just like I say, just like they say in religion, you don't know the mind of God. To be honest with you, that's kind of true because God is the author and finisher of the story, right? And God could change the story at any given time. You know what I'm saying? So, but
I'm gonna make you suffer, but praise me.
yep, at the same time. So,
Yeah. Um,
but
yeah, Mr. Lyons, yeah. Yeah. All I'm gonna say is grace is sufficient. Yes.
The hell it is.
I have to agree. Okay.
hmm
I'm gonna make you suffer, but praise me.
Lord have mercy, Bible.
He has no mercy, apparently. Got plenty of jokes, though.
but other than that, y'all do y'all have any final thoughts before we go ahead and end this show? I appreciate y'all putting up on the show. By the way, at first I really didn't want to do no panel, but I like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and give into it because I know y'all want to share y'all perspectives about this topic. So I appreciate that. I value that a whole lot. But go ahead. Final thoughts. If y'all have any.
My
Yeah.
okay.
Final thoughts is essentially I'm sorry that y'all are in servitude, that God is dangling y'all around like a marionette. That shit sucks. It does. You should have beef with God. A lot of you should. Because a lot of stories that he wrote are not good stories. But he wants you to praise him. Thank you, God, for letting these men torture me for a couple hours. Thank you. You just blessed my soul with that shit. Y'all should be beefing. But you're good. They all tell me you're good. I be thinking that's some crazy talk. But I do respect y'all and y'all dedication and y'all devotion. I do think y'all are on a good path. Y'all are great people. Keep up y'all great work.
I ain't got nothing else to say, Mr. Lounge. Great live. I'm glad you did let me and Lionel up on the panel because I feel like we needed to have this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Um, Lionel, I will be pulling you to the carpet and you and I will be having a conversation because I can't. And I ain't forgot about the documentary. I just haven't had time to, do everything that I want to do with it.
I
But
got you.
be on the lookout for a community walk post. And Miss Loud, um, I don't know if you believe in going to therapy. I honestly strongly believe that you think you got all the answers already. But you ain't got to tell nobody. You ain't got to tell me. You ain't got to tell mine. You ain't got to tell nobody, right? But I'm gonna strongly suggest that you go talk to somebody about your beef with the Most High. You know,
I already did that, Vance. Well, why you think I'm talking about it right now? See, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm at peace with it.
Women.
I'm literally at peace with it. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. We just beefing. It just is what it is.
okay, well then since you didn't did all the work, I'm just gonna help fight in the spirit with you, okay? And don't be resisting no prayers. I be telling Miss Alice and my mama to stay out my business, but now you got to tell me to stay out your business. So
Oh no, I'm not doing none of that. If it's part of God's script for you to pray for me and do certain prayers for certain thing to happen, then hey, so be it.
okay, I
If it's
like that
part of
in.
the story. But however, if it's not part of the story, more than likely your prayer's not gonna be answered.
Oh,
I'm
what?
just
Okay.
saying. I'm just throwing it out there. So we'll see.
He's
Hey,
right.
look, I'm gonna say this too though. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm trying to convert them. I'm gonna be me at the end of the day. If whether we're associates, and I feel like we are close acquaintances, here on these YouTube streets.
Hmm.
When you're my friend in real life, I'm always gonna want the best for you, even if it's the way that I see the best for you, but I'm not gonna push it. You know what I'm saying? I accept you for who you are, Mr. Lounge, wholeheartedly. I do. And me and Lionel, we gonna work this thing out. But
Right.
I mean, likewise for me too. I separate everybody for how the way they are. You know what I'm saying? And I
yeah,
respect it.
I've gotten to know you, and I don't and I just gotta be honest, y'all. I don't do the whole people are evil and demonic. Like, in order for me to feel you're evil and demonic, you would really have to cross me all the way wrong. And there really isn't too many people that I've had that experience with. And I've been on the flip side of that, where you doing what you want to do and people are calling you evil and a witch and demonic. I don't so y'all nobody has to worry about that from me. You know what I'm saying? Even when I'm describing my own behavior, you know what I'm saying? Or if I'm, talking about God, don't take it personally like I'm condemning you or I'm, being holier than thou. Just kind of accept it for what it is that, my view on things are going to be different. And it's not to, you know, cast stones at people, but, just to help, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna try to help in whatever way I can. If this conversation helps, I'm here for it. My pushback helps, I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? But it's never about judgment, never that. Of course, I'm gonna judge righteously, but if you ask me, none of us are so far gone that God does not love us. If He loved me when I was, against Him, I know He loves everybody else who, feel however they feel, whether it's just a beef or Lionel say he don't respect them. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I know that God still loves all of us. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. I just want to say that too.
Hmm. And I agree with that. One last thing too, and we'll be done for this episode. Um, One thing you said that should stick out more than anything is that people should not take things personal, especially when we be having these conversations, especially on panels. Because I believe that it's supposed to be a certain type of decorum that happens on these panels, okay? And where at the end of the day, it's not nothing personal, but what happened is that people believe that they know how to hold debates. They believe that they're good at holding debates because they watch other people do debates. But when it comes to you actually doing it, once again, there's a certain decorum that you have to follow. A lot of people don't understand that, and they don't follow that decorum at all, and they'll say any old crazy thing. Then once when that other person have pushback, and that's when conflict happens, and from conflict, that's what create beef, all because they didn't follow the proper decorum of simply not taking things personal, or as I say, using ad hominems or personal attacks. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I just want y'all to want to consider. Those of y'all who are content creators who enjoy, doing panel discussions and stuff in debates, you need to understand that in every debate there's a decorum that people have to follow. Period. If you don't establish that as the content creator, then guess what? It's gonna be chaos every single time, unless you like that. But that's neither here nor there. But once again, I appreciate Lionel and Vance. I appreciate y'all pulling up on the show like always, sharing y'all perspective. All right, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you too, Mr. Lounge. I'm gonna go ahead and drop. Great. This was really a great live. I ain't gonna hold you. Lionel disturbed my peace for a second, but it was
Yeah,
like
we saw the gangster coming out.
it was like, you know what? This conversation needs to be had because I've collected some information. I ain't gonna tell y'all what and who, but it's helped a whole lot. You thought provoking content, Miss Lounge. Keep it up, okay? All right. But I'm gonna say this: it's funny how you come from vacation with your family and y'all was having all this fun. This is the first thing you want to talk about. We missed you. We want to hear some beta. Some
Vance, I had talked about that at 12 o'clock at night. You had missed that show.
You went live last night?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
went live last night, late
we
last night.
talked about how we shouldn't get married, how
Oh,
men should get married.
yeah, I can't do this. I need to reset my notifications because I need regular Mr.
Yeah,
Lounge.
today's show is dealing with religion. Yesterday's show, yeah, I was encouraging modern men to not get married at all. Period. Kid you not.
Don't get them on,
Wait to what later on tonight's show is going to be about.
Who's encouraging who not to get married?
I'm a married man encouraging modern men to not get married to
Oh,
modern
I
women.
didn't ask you about that because I feel the same way. Don't do that. but okay.
I said to him, I know it wasn't. He was roasting women last night, and I was not roasting women. See, that's what I'm saying. Don't be taking it personal.
Wow, Mr.
Don't be
Lounge,
taking it personal. But
I believe I
I
said
was
what I said.
encouraging modern men to not get married to modern women. And at the end of the day, I said what I said. She agreed with a lot of it. There are some parts of it she didn't agree with, but most of the parts she like, yeah, no, I agree with you, Reverend. I got the receipts to prove it that she was agreeing with it. So, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me up, Urban. This was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciate you as well too, man. Pulling up. Um, make sure y'all have y'all notifications set when I do go live to your best ability. But I understand how YouTube is. You know what I'm saying? I understand YouTube do what they do, all right. But make sure you always be tuned into my page where you know when I'm going live. And yes, I'll be going live later on tonight as well too with some more thought provoking conversations. All right. So make sure you have that set and all the good stuff. Those of y'all who are get ready to exit out the stream, make sure that you did thumbs up the live because it do help out the channel a whole lot. And I appreciate y'all in that regards. Thank you so much. And other than that, that is it for this episode. Those of y'all who are catching the replay right now, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments about this whole entire conversation. Do you agree with my assessment on this, or you disagree with it? What about the panelists who came up and spoke their piece about this situation? Do you agree with them or you disagree with it? Let me know in the comment. And trust me, your conversation, your comment could possibly be a future episode of this show. All right, so trust me on that. All right. So, other than that, appreciate y'all tuning in. We will see you again on the next episode. Y'all have a great afternoon, and we'll see you later on tonight.